Well,
Hi,
so
everyone.
much for me speaking so highly of Evie Mux. I guess you get what you pay for. Damn.
Anyway, hi. Welcome, everyone, to Geeky Geezers. Those of you who have made it onto the correct channel, correct stream. Welcome. I guess Daniel Berry Sports Highlights is here.
Yeah. And he's probably the only one seeing us, right? Because we're now
in a different
going
thing.
live under a
So what
different
I'm going to
stream.
do is I'm going to go to the one that is live where we're speaking, and I'm gonna put a message into the chat of the one everybody's waiting for us for, and say, "Go here." How's that sound?
None of mine are live.
And of course, no thumbnail here. Give me just a second.
It's fine. Take your time.
This is freaking ridiculous. I am pissed.
All right. Go here.
This is the live stream. Ignore all others.
And I'm going to pin the message. There we go. We'll see if people pile in, huh?
I'm telling you, my next stream is going to be one blasting Evie Mux if they don't respond to me and tell me what needs to happen to get this fixed.
All right. Anyway.
Welcome
everybody
Netter.
to Geeky Geezers.
We're lucky any of these are going live right now.
Anyway, Netter, if you could go ahead, and what I would do is I would post the one that is live on your channel and post a link to it in the previously made stream where everybody's waiting. And
I'll download a copy of this for you to upload as a separate upload to your channel if you want later.
Yeah, but you can just post a link to the one on your channel. You don't understand what I'm saying? Hi, everybody. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. It's my co-host, a frustrated Troy Pacelli.
Very frustrated.
Netter of Netters Network is joining us tonight as well. Some of you may be waiting in another stream saying, where the heck are you guys? Well, we're on this stream. I went ahead and posted a link in the other stream. So, yeah. So welcome, everybody. I think people are finally starting to pile in. I'll start saying hi. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, welcome. Longest running superhero RPG, welcome. Jane Doe, let me see. Jane Doe welcome. Darth Plato, welcome. Matt Inouye, welcome. Always good to see you. Let's see here. Let's keep running down the list here. And sounds like this show is as messed up as the latest Doctor Who episode. Oh, come on now, man.
Well, at least we know what we're doing. We just have a crap platform that we're dealing with.
Well, it's making an error tonight, at least, yes. But go here. We're here now. Hopefully y'all... anyway. So hopefully people figured it out, and I pinned the chat to the top. Go to the other stream. So hopefully people will pile in. If not, we will continue on with the show as is. But you can go ahead and post, like I mentioned to Netter, and you can do it too, Troy, if you have a moment. Just go to your YouTube page, find out where we are streaming live from, and then post it in the chat where people are waiting. And they should just hopefully click on the link and come right to where we are now. Oh, how's your weekend been?
I've had a challenging weekend. Let's put it that way.
Okay, but anyway, I figured I would share it here. This was a big secret, but Troy was on Overlord DVD's channel this week. The great Lord Doomcock, he was a panelist, and you need to check that out if you haven't seen it already. It was, I'm telling you, you need to play that Jefferson song. You're moving on up. I think that'll be great.
Well, we'll see. We will see. I am going to be tagging the Overlord in a video I'm going to be posting sometime this week. One of the places that Netter and I stopped this weekend for personal reasons. We went to the cemetery to decorate the graves, and since our cemetery happens to be the cemetery where a certain capo Al Capone is buried, I got some video of his grave. Because I do usually stop there every time I go. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to post this and tag Doomcock and say, You inspired me to return.
I have to say, yeah. I mean, I told you I did a report on Al Capone in middle school. I had to pick a famous American, and I'm gonna pick Al Capone because he was a famous American, wasn't he?
He absolutely was, and honestly, I mean, I'm not going to say he was a good guy, but honestly, from what I've seen about politicians and what's been happening behind the scenes, he's no worse than any elected official in our country. Really, I mean, when push comes to shove, and you check out. There's a if you guys are fans of Max Miller's Tasting History, that's a great channel, and he's got one. Al Capone's I don't know. It's like some kind of a pasta fagioli. It was this soup that was served in a soup kitchen that Al Capone sponsored,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's very very true. People in his neighborhood admired him as a philanthropist because he really was doing his best to keep his neighborhood alive. Literally, I mean, he there was a little bit of a Robin Hood thing going on there because he was helping people you know so, and I'm not again, I'm not saying he was a good guy, I'm just saying he did some good
Well,
things.
this is what I was comparing Nintendo to Al Capone the other week, saying, "Oh, they do a lot of great things for the gaming industry, and then they do other stuff that's not so good." Anyway, it's not really a good analogy. Anyway,
No.
JPRPH1, welcome. Wilkie's Movies and Music, welcome. Like that title, actually. It's a neat title.
Yes, check out Wilkie's Movies and Music, and those of you that follow me on Liquid Lunch, I'm going to make sure every Friday I start forwarding you over to his channel because he's got a semi-regular Friday stream, and I think if you like my channel, you will probably like his
Does
channel.
he like music?
I'm sure he does like music. The last video of his I was watching was about movies specifically, but
You
since
know,
both are in the title,
Amazon, some company out there, and Amazon is selling them now, has sort of recreated the boombox. And it's not cheap. It's $250. I'm waiting to see if maybe it goes on sale during Amazon Prime days. But it looks like a real deal, not one of these crap boom boxes they sell now, like one that's like made to the standard of like the old ones,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that. But Darth Plato, welcome. Connie Cleary, welcome. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and hopefully people figure it out. You can always just refresh the channel, guys. Of course, I'm talking to people that may still be waiting for us. Anyway, Geeky Geezers,
I'm
yay!
sure somewhere on the YouTube page, I'm sure this has blown away my Rumble stream. I can't imagine my
Sorry.
Rumble stream is live, but go check out YouTube. Go to one of our channels, see if there's something going live. There's only one, so
Yes,
go check it out.
there you
And
go.
of course, if I'm talking to you here and you're hearing me, you're already here. So never mind.
Anyway, but we figured for good old days tonight, we talk about a classic sitcom that I'm hoping Troy knows more about than I.
Oh yeah, I kind of do. Yeah,
And because unfortunately we do have a in remembrance tonight that's going to tie into this, but figure we'll talk about Mash.
absolutely.
In the library catalog, you have to be very careful how you type this in. You need those asterisks, or it won't come up. I
Yeah,
learned that.
that's
Yeah,
absolutely right. It's very specific.
been part of that.
This show lasted for 11 years,
Wow,
which was significantly longer than the Korean War actually lasted.
that's
Which
longer
was
than Smallville.
yeah,
It
yeah.
beats Smallville.
The Korean War only lasted for 3 years, and a series about the Korean War lasted for 11. So think about that for a second, if that makes any sense.
I guess they didn't move over to Vietnam, though. I think it aired during kind of the Vietnam War, and I guess they were trying to make some allegories. Was that right?
I'm sure they absolutely were. And I'll tell you, this was one of those it was a comedy. It was a
Hmm.
sitcom kind of a thing, but it was also it because of the nature of the story. It also had some pretty dramatic stories in it too. They did a great job of kind of weaving humor and comedy. Now it was based on a movie. Um,
That's
I, I,
right.
I don't I don't I don't believe that the movie can really be considered like a pilot. I mean, everyone was pretty much recast and whatnot. So
It's more like this is a remake.
well, yeah, or this is
Or
the
made
TV.
same concept but in series form. And I think in some ways that's better than trying to just do a sequel to a movie in TV form. Just say this is the TV, we're going to redo it as a television format series instead of a movie. And of course, there are going to be differences there. But Alan Alda is the lead actor on this, right?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he's supposed to be the same character that Elliot Gould played. I don't remember the movie very well at all, so I can't really
What
I
they
thought
could
it was
have.
supposed to be Elliot Gould.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
there you go then. So Alan Alda and Elliot Gould played the same character essentially, yes.
What am I, chopped liver? Is that a line from MASH, or is that just you asking why we haven't mentioned you yet? It's been a crazy night, Gorillas. Ham hand thoughts? Interesting. Okay.
Changing up your names on us. Like, okay, so now this picture you got here, you'll notice that Klinger on the right is well, at first look you might think he's Scottish or something. But he was trying to get tossed out of the army. What would it be, 4F? Because he was pretending to be a cross-dresser. He said, and there you go again. He's got the, and he used to have all these crazy outfits, and everyone knew he was just trying to get thrown out of the service, and it never worked.
Is
But
this
he
is
was
this
trying.
is this a nod to Bugs Bunny cartoons where he was dressing as Carmen Miranda? Is that right?
I think they're both
Yes.
drawing from the same
Yeah.
inspiration, the same cross-dressing humor that I'm sure would trigger people today, but get over it. It was taking place in the 1950s. And yeah, 4 times longer than the actual war. I think people have even tried to figure out, like, because it was a weekly show and seasons don't last the whole year, right? There's 27, 28 episodes a season. I don't know exactly. But if you assume that each one is about a day in the life and you were to squeeze them all together, maybe you could fit them all into 3 years. But keep in mind that the actors aged 11 years in the 3-year span this was supposed to be taking place. So I don't know.
Well, you roll with it, right? I mean, it's a show.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, here's some other images of the lovely Klinger. Anyway, and not only that, like the least feminine looking man. I mean,
that was where part of the humor. I mean,
look at that.
I think part of the reason he was cast is because he's just a hairy guy, which makes it that much more ridiculous.
Yeah. But there's
he's one that, and he even dresses as a nurse. I think that's hysterical.
Yes.
He's one of a number of these, because it was such a successful show. They wanted to keep it going, but they couldn't justify another 11.
Here's a fun fact about Klinger, the actual character.
Yeah.
At one point, he was forced into uniform by some colonel or general or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried putting on the uniform, and he was just breaking out in hives because he wasn't used to the material. So funny. BJ and friends suggested he wear feminine clothes underneath his uniform. So at one point, he's standing at attention in the line, and after the colonel or general, whoever it was, went by, he kind of pulled back his shirt a little bit to reveal a camisole underneath.
Yeah. So there was a number of spin-offs from the show. One of them was Aftermath, which the commanding officer, Klinger's wife, and the priest all spun off to. Walter got a spin-off that was Radar O'Reilly's spin-off. I'm trying to remember what else there was. And of course, the most famous one, Trapper John MD. That was a spinoff from MASH.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay.
Trapper John is, of course, cast by an older actor, but it was supposed to be the same character.
Cool. Orville Nation, welcome. I was just on your channel. Everyone subscribe to Orville Nation if you're not already. They
Yes,
do good
please
stuff over
do.
there.
PJ is good people.
Yes.
In fact, it was PJ who introduced me to my guest for this Friday, whom we'll be talking more about later on tonight.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that would be Trapper John in the middle there, you know, as a younger man. And then, of course, in the modern day, he's a doctor in a hospital. And it became, I mean, there was really no apparent connection other than you're supposed to believe it's the same character.
Yeah. But, yeah. And I noticed this one guy was always yelling. The guy with the hat was always yelling at Klinger, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I just realized we really haven't explained MASH. MASH stands for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
Yes.
So this is a group of doctors providing medical treatment for
soldiers.
The soldiers during the Korean War.
Or even
and
probably civilians that get hit, they probably bring those into.
That meant civilians, that sometimes meant enemy combatants, and those led to some very interesting storylines too.
And of course, we should mention Hotlips Houlihan.
Hotlips Houlihan, yeah. I forget, was she in the movie? Did she play the same character in the movie?
Oh, I don't know. That was Loretta Swit, right? That was the actress's name.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but like I said, she
did.
Did she?
Always Hotlips.
Yeah. Okay.
She was one of my favorite. She was in one of my favorite horror movies. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Actually.
Okay.
But yeah, she looks kind of angry there.
She, and you know what? She, as the female in the 1950s, you know, setting, it wasn't filmed in the 50s. It was set in the 50s. You know, she's the butt of a lot of jokes, but she could give as well as she received.
Yep.
Very, very funny. No, it was Sally Kellerman in the movie. Okay, thank you, Big Al. I knew you would know.
MASH is one of my favorite shows and a favorite of my wife too. Oh, that's great to know. Okay.
Yeah.
And Sally Kellerman was in the movie.
Of course, I don't know if you have a slide in here related to the. Oh, here we go. Leia Plus Size says, "Hey, all Troy. I again want to say loved you on Doomcock. I hope to see you back on there again. I'm sure at some point. I will." The last episode of MASH was a historic one.
I don't have a slide from that, but
that's okay.
About that.
It was not a terribly funny episode, and it does kind of depict the airlifting out of Korea at the end of the war, and you know, Hawkeye, who is the main character played by Alan Alda, is recounting the events from his point of view, and he's obviously having some PTSD, and as he's depicting a rather tense circumstance, you find the big twist ending is you realize that he is purposely, well, I don't know if it's purposely, but he is misremembering it. He is what do they call it? He's repressing the actual memory of what actually happened because it's so traumatic. And when you find out what actually happened at the end, it's and let me tell you, Alan Alda's performance was just second to none. Alan Alda is an incredible actor. One performance I wish I had seen of his was he did a play called The Apple Tree, and I have an audio recording of it, but I would love to have seen his performance in that play. I think he would have been amazing. But anyway, I'm kind of getting sidetracked.
It's fine.
That last episode, you can probably find it out there. It's like I said, it brought in record ratings, and people still talk about it. It was just amazing. One of the running gags throughout the show was, of course, these guys are in a fairly stable, you know, it's a mobile Army surgical hospital, but it doesn't move around a lot.
Right.
But they're also limited. They're always talking about supplies and what supplies they can and can't get and so forth, and what they have to do without. And one of the things they can't get because they're in the service on duty is alcohol. So there are a bunch of especially Hawkeye and Trapper and the main characters are working a still that they have put together to make gin. And yeah, and so they regularly you see them drinking a martini and whatnot, and but you also, as it goes on, and anyone who really knows the circumstance, they're self-medicating. They are absolutely self-medicating.
The one episode I thought was fantastic because it mentioned Chicago is when
I know the one you mean.
They were trying to get ribs.
Yep.
From a specific restaurant in Chicago.
Ribs.
And they were going through all these hoops to try and get a huge order sent to them. Radar was contacting all of his contacts. He was contacting this guy in this unit who knew this guy in this unit who could do this thing and that thing. Right. And it was like this whole big operation to get these ribs.
Orville knows what it was. Adam's Ribs, which unfortunately was a fictitious name, but what a brilliant damn name for a ribs house. Funny. We do have some great rib places.
Muggs Ribs is
Netter
the best.
likes Muggs.
Wait a minute. They're trying to get ribs sent from Chicago to Korea?
Yeah.
Dude, that's the history of war, my friend.
But how would they last that long? Refrigeration? I mean,
it depends. I mean, sometimes
they arrived, I think, in coolers.
Yeah, you can pack it. Maybe they may have packed it either cooked or uncooked with instructions on how to prepare it and
they had it packed in coolers marked as medical equipment.
Yeah, I'm sure. That was the scene that you just had up where Hotlips is bringing in the medical equipment.
Where she's yelling at them?
No. When she's got the box. There!
She doesn't look happy.
And everyone who finds out that they have these foodstuffs coming in wants a share of it so as not to blab about it.
These delicious ribs fall off the bone, right? I mean, it's
so I have speculated. I don't know if the timelines work out for this, PJ, but I always imagined that if someone actually had a real ribs joint in mind when they wrote that episode, I always assumed that they were thinking about Carms. That's what I always assumed. But I don't know that for sure.
Question. Mm-hmm. Ribs in Chicago, are they baby back or St. Louis style? What's the tip? They're pork, I assume, right?
Yeah, they're pork ribs.
Yes,
they're pork ribs with like one of the sweet red sauces, usually cooked into them and then slather some more on afterwards.
Because I wonder if they make them different in Chicago than they do in other parts of the world. Different places have their own ways of doing barbecue, so yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? And maybe this is sacrilege for a Chicago boy to be saying, but you know what I really like?
What?
And I've only had them like a couple times.
Yeah.
Beef ribs. Beef ribs are good. You know that scene in the Flintstones when he orders the big rack of ribs, Brontosaurus ribs, and they come out with this huge thing that tips over his car? That's what beef ribs are like. Yeah,
I've never had beef ribs. I should try them because it's weird because
they're a bit on the expensive side, but if you can get them,
that's probably why they don't have them a lot of places. Because I'm thinking, because I actually oddly enough, I like pulled barbecue beef more than barbecue pork, which is surprising because I do like barbecue pork a lot, but I think beef is better. And I'm curious now about the beef ribs. Okay. Refrigeration has been around for centuries.
Well, and they had access to dry ice and things like that too, even in the 50s. So
they had ice cream in colonial times.
Adam's Ribs, biblical reference.
Yes,
Adams.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect name for yeah. Oh, Connie likes beef ribs too. Good. But yeah, it was a great show. No, but this is I knew guys in the Gulf conflict, who were trying to get pizzas from Chicago.
Oh.
And I worked for a pizza place that was working with a charity to ship their pizzas out to the folks in the Middle East. So yeah, it's a very common thing. In fact, you know who else does a major, or I don't know if he still does, but he used to do a major charity to send pizzas out to guys in the Middle East, was Gary Sinise.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
And what they probably do is they're like undercooked or partly cooked or whatever, and then they heat them up when you get there. I don't know how good that's going to be, but it's probably better than the stuff on a shingle.
If it's half as good, it's still good, better than what they're getting out there.
Probably better than MREs. Yeah, exactly. I hear even the MREs these days are better than they used to be, but they're still not all that.
It's weird. Like I said, those are some fascinating YouTube channels. Are like the MRE community.
Oh, some of those guys are nuts. They're eating these MREs from World War II, and it's like, you're taking your life into your own hands. What are you doing?
This one guy, I think it might have been World War II.
Potawatomi challenge.
The what?
The Potawatomi challenge.
Well, that's 20-year-old bubblegum. We're
30-year-old.
We're not talking 60-year-old MREs.
This guy, I don't know if it was Korea or Vietnam or one of those. There was like a cheese and crackers, like a cheese spread, and he opened up the cheese spread, and he's like, "Oh!" Like the stench it made in his room was so bad.
Oh my god!
And the old MREs used to come with cigarettes. You got a couple cigarettes in a match with them. You know that?
Oh yeah.
And he actually lit the cigarettes to get the cigarette. Hopefully the cigarettes would get rid of the smell of the rancid cheese.
Oh,
cheese
cigarettes, guys! If you're not a tobacco person, old tobacco is nasty. It's not worth it. You're not going to get the nicotine out of it.
I don't think he was smoking, but I think he was just trying to get the smell out.
Well, no, I understand that. What happens is tobacco dries out.
Yeah.
So it'll burn, but it'll burn this terrible smell. I mean, worse than regular, fresh tobacco. And you don't get anything out of it if you try to smoke it. It's not worth it.
Like when people eat a piece of their wedding cake that's 25 years old. There was a Seinfeld episode about Elaine's boss had a piece of Princess Di's wedding cake still frozen in the freezer.
Uh-huh.
I guess from that marriage, and she decided to eat it, and her boss found out, and he's like, "Well, look at it this way. You know what 15 years is going to do to a buttercream frosting? What you're going to be going through soon is going to be punishment enough." That's what he said to her, because basically she was going to.
Well, my mom told me that when she got married, she had the same kind of cake that Netter and I did. It was a cannoli cake.
Okay.
Well, cannoli cakes are usually made now not so much anymore, but they always used to be made with rum.
Interesting.
And what's the tradition? You take the top layer of the cake and you freeze it and you eat it on your anniversary the following year, which is what my mom did. Well, as we all know, rum, which is a high proof alcohol, does not freeze. So the cake froze, but the rum did not. And the rum all sunk to the bottom. And so the bottom part of it was like soggy in the freezer.
Ew.
And she tried to eat it. She said, I couldn't. I took one bite of it and it was like, oh, no. Well, she had to let it thaw too, right? So the whole thing was mushad. And she tries to eat it. And she said, it wasn't even so much I was concerned about getting drunk, which I probably would have, but it was terrible. I almost got sick just trying to eat it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe skip that. But
although years later, after she got a divorce, she said, that should have been kind of a, the tradition didn't work out, on the first anniversary. I should have known something was going to go wrong.
Oh.
14 years later, it did. So
skip the old cake, right? But don't skip MASH.
No, MASH is absolutely worth it. Yes, it's 11 seasons, but it's worth checking out. I'm sure it's streaming out there somewhere.
And of course, every time they they had one character leave and a new character come in. There was always getting used to the new guy, and are we going to like this person? Or are we going to hate this person? And you know,
yeah, exactly. And then of course there's the one character he's leaving. Then you find out, you know, after his helicopter takes off or whatever, you find out the helicopter got shot down. He got killed. You know, because that was a reality of war. You know,
that's awful.
It's just a reality of war. So you have, you know, and otherwise, you know, oh, bittersweet. We're gonna hate to see you go, so on and so forth. All the comedy of the show, and then that ending note. It's like, geez, man, but that's war. You know, and there's a line someone says in the surgery. They repeat the old adage, "War is hell," and Hawkeye says, "No, war is war and hell is hell, and of the two, I'll pick hell."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is, basically.
Well, that's rough, and it's particularly rough for a surgeon trying to save people in a war situation. There's obviously a strong anti-war message in this show. So if you're, you know, messaging, but at the same time, consider the setting of this show. People in war are not pro-war. Nobody ever is. You know, there's a reason for that. So, there you go. But yeah, it's a great show. I really recommend you guys check it out if you haven't seen it before. Check it out.
Well, we saved half of Korea.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on to tonight, and unfortunately, our first story of the night relates to the MASH. Unfortunately,
Hotlips herself, Loretta
Swit, has
87
passed away.
years old. Yeah.
Loretta Swit, the actress and animal activist forever known for her pioneering turn as the disciplined Majorie Margaret Houlihan on the acclaimed CBS sitcom MASH, has died. She was 87. According to a police report, Swit died just after midnight Friday of suspected natural causes at her home in New York City, her publicist Harlan Ball announced. Swit won 2 Emmys for her portrayal as the Army nurse. She was nominated 10 times every year the show was on the air except the first, and appeared on 240 of the series' 251 episodes during its sensational 11-season run. Adapting the character from Sally Kellerman's film portrayal of the lusty powerhouse, Swit was one of the only 2 actors, along with Alan Alda as Hawkeye, to have a role in both the pilot and series finale of MASH. That finale, which aired February 28, 1983, attracted a record of nearly 106 million viewers, and a 35-second kiss between Swit and Alda during the episode has been called the most expensive in television history based on its length and the ad revenue per minute. As a tough by-the-book major, Swit's Houlihan was a rare strong woman on television. She was unique at the time and in her time, which was the 50s, when the Korean War was happening, Swit said in a 2004 discussion for the TV Academy Foundation website, The Interviews, an Oral History of Television. And she became even more unique, I think, because we allowed her to continue to grow. We watched her evolve. I don't think that's ever been done in quite that way. Bolstered by her MASH fame, Swit performed in a number of movies, including Freebie and the Bean, 1974, Race with the Devil, 1975, and Boardheads, 1998. She was hilarious as Polly Reed, a Sue Manger's type agent, in Blake Edwards' satire of Hollywood, S.O.B. in 1981. Are they trying to say people in Hollywood are SOBs? Race with the Devil, big fan of that horror movie. That's a good little thriller from the mid 70s, actually from 77 if I recall. And it's Peter Fonda and Warren Oates and Loretta Swit, and I forget the other actress's name. She was the one who played Angelique on Dark Shadows. She's in it, and they're all on the run in an RV from a group of crazed Satanists, basically. So that's the plot of that movie. But Loretta was supposed to do an event with me a few years ago, but we never ironed it out. I'm sorry to hear that, Orville Nation. Like I said, she sounds like a great lady, and she'll be missed. But, yeah. Unfortunately, she's not the last celebrity death tonight. We have another one. We
actually have a number of them, yeah.
Valerie Mahaffey. I know her.
Yes. Yep, you definitely will recognize that face, right? She's been in a lot of things.
I think she was on Seinfeld, wasn't she? I think was she dating George?
It may have been. I know she was on Desperate Housewives. I remember from that.
Yes. Emmy-winning actress Valerie Mahaffey has died at age 71, her family has confirmed. Mahaffey's publicist confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that the star died in California on Friday after being diagnosed with cancer. The star was known for her work on television series including Desperate Housewives, Young Sheldon, and Big Sky. In a statement provided to Variety, Mahaffey's husband, Joseph Kell, said that he had lost the love of my life and America has lost one of its most endearing actresses. She will be missed, he said. On Facebook, the couple's daughter, Alice, wrote, I don't really have the words to say right now. Cancer sucks. I'll look for you in all the fun moments of life. I know that's where you'll be. In 1992, Mahaffey won a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Actress in a Drama Series for her portrayal as Eve in the American dark comedy Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure, right, exactly. Yeah.
Her primetime success came after a Daytime Emmy nomination the previous decade for a role in The Doctors, a soap opera which aired from 1979 to 1981. She also appeared in several films, including Sully and Seabiscuit. Oh, I know she played in Seabiscuit. She was the first wife of Jeff Bridges in that movie.
There you go.
Yeah, it's still a memorable role in the film, even though she's not in it that long. For her more recent roles have included an appearance as Madame Reynard in the 2020 film French Exit, for which she was nominated for Independent Spirit Award. Born to a Canadian mother and American father in Sumatra, Indonesia, Mahaffey relocated as a teen to Texas. Her first film credit came in 1977 with a role in the film Tell Me My Name. Mahaffey appeared in episodes of television series over her 5-decade career, including the medical drama ER, the dystopian series The Man in High Castle, and the musical series Glee. In Desperate Housewives, her memorable role as Alma Hodge, the manipulative ex-wife of Orson Hodge, saw her appear on the drama-filled Wisteria Lane for 8 episodes. She also appeared as teacher Victoria McElroy in Young Sheldon, a spinoff of The Big Bang Theory that focuses on the upbringing of the show's titular star, Sheldon Cooper. I think I saw a picture of her with Kyle MacLachlan, too, right? Was he on Desperate Housewives?
Yes, he was. Absolutely.
Oh.
And you were right. She was in one episode of Seinfeld. Amazing. You remember her from that. She played a character named Patrice.
I think she was dating George. I think there's an episode where she says, "Don't lie, George," and he says, "I'm not a liar." He gets all, and I think he was.
But she was in
a funny scene.
She did like one episode appearances in a lot of sitcoms. She was in Quantum Leap. She was in Cheers, The Young Riders, Baby Talk, Till Death Do Us Part, and that's just in 90 and 91. She's got a long history. Go check out her IMDb. She's done a lot of stuff.
She would, even if she wasn't starring like as a regular, she would always do a guest stint on major shows. I remembered her, but yeah, she had one of those faces you just remembered and the right voice. Sorry to see her go. But it looks like she had a full career. I mean, she was up most recently in Young Sheldon, which I believe had its final season last year. I think
so. Yeah.
Sorry to hear she went.
Yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China. Peter Kwong, 73. Thank you, Geekfly, for contributing this to us. Peter Kwong, who played Rain, one of the 3 martial arts warlocks in Warlocks. I thought they were Chinese gods. That was my impression.
Know.
Anyway, in John Carpenter's 1986 action classic Big Trouble in Little China, has died in his sleep Tuesday night. According to one of his reps, he was 73. No further details were shared. Kwong, a Sacramento, California native, began his career as a TV actor in the late 70s and 80s with stints on shows like The A-Team, Wonder Woman, Little House on the Prairie, Miami Vice, The Greatest American Hero, Cagney and Lacey, Dynasty, MacGyver, and 227. Was there a show he wasn't on? My goodness. Okay.
So let's be clear here. When we're talking about these earlier roles, they needed someone that played a Japanese character,
or a Chinese character,
or exactly. He played Tanaka, a character on Greatest American Hero. He played. Oh my gosh, he was really young in 77. I remember this episode. He plays a little boy in an episode of Wonder Woman. There's this story where Wonder Woman is dealing. Remember, that Wonder Woman, the first season takes place during World War II.
Yes.
And then it jumps into the 1970s where, she's
Oh.
left. She after World War II, she goes back to Paradise Island. She comes back, to man's world in the modern day. She is now working for the IADC or something like that. Some
Yes.
fictional spy agency. And she's working with Lyle Wagner plays the grandson of, or the son or the grandson, I forget, of the original Steve Trevor. So it's still Steve Trevor, but he's not, a reincarnation in someone else's body or some other stupid thing like that. And but anyway, I digress.
The sins of Wonder Woman 84 are countless. Anyway,
but yeah, this episode is kind of the sins of Wonder Woman. World War II. She was trying to rescue 2 civilian Japanese boys from a bombing situation. And the boys ended up getting separated during this instance. And the one she saved blamed her for apparently leaving his brother behind and him dying. And so jump to the present day, and he's been working with scientists to develop psychic powers, and he's trying to use them to extract revenge on Wonder Woman. And he's trying to get her to walk across a minefield like she supposed, had saved him from, basically. And she is able to not get herself blown up and fight against him. And, in typical 70s Wonder Woman style, instead of going and beating the crap out of him, she says, I understand why you're upset with me, but what you need to know is your brother is alive. And then she reveals that, they had just been separated. And, just like so many real world World War II stories of people that, got separated during the war only to find each other many years later. It was that same. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was a very long
it's all right.
side tangent to tell you about this role that he played as a young boy back in 1977. Wow. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
But Wonder Woman was a classic. But he will be missed. Big fan of Big Trouble in Little China as well. Very underrated movie. Used to be a favorite of mine on a Showtime, actually. Kurt Russell. Brilliant movie. Basically, Kurt Russell, they made a point that you think Kurt Russell, he's the main guy, but no, he's a hero that acts like a sidekick, and the sidekick acted like the hero in that movie. It was
kind of, and it was and it wasn't a bad thing. It was that juxtaposition that was humorous enough to make it work.
Like, he keeps kind of bumbling around for most of the movie, except when the final thing happens at the end, he finally gets rid of the bad guy. But it's like up until then, he's.
I think my favorite is when he takes the gun and shoots it up, into the ceiling. The stone from the ceiling falls on his head.
Yes, exactly. No, it's fine. It's fine. But another celebrity death tonight, and this would be Rick Derringer of 77.
77.
Thank you, Marc Malnekoff, for submitting. Rick Derringer, whose 6-decade career spanned teen stardom as lead singer of the 60s smash Hang On Sloopy, a 70s solo hit with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. I know all these songs. Session work with artists from Steely Dan to Barbra Streisand, and extensive work as a writer and producer of wrestling themes like Hulk Hogan's seemingly ageless Real American.
Real American, that one is actually more recent than I realized. 2000. Well, I guess 2007 is longer ago than I'm.
No, that was around in the 80s, dude. That song, The Real American.
Okay.
They've just used it over and over again since then. They used to play that when he would come out for like WrestleMania back in the day.
Gotcha.
But his caretaker, Tony Wilson, confirms he died. Confirms Variety. Wilson said Derringer died Monday evening at Ormond Beach, Florida. No cause of death was announced. Although Derringer had been in ill health in recent months, he was 77. A fiery and remarkable versatile guitarist, a strong singer, and high-profile presence on New York's rock scene of the 70s and 80s. Derringer also produced Edgar Winter's group 1972 smash single Frankenstein, and served as the band's guitarist for several years, working closely with Winter's brother Johnny as a guitarist and producer. Produced Weird Al Yankovic's first album, and even gave Patti Smith her first major credit on the song Hold from Derringer's 1973 solo album All American Boys. His eponymous band released several albums and toured heavily throughout the mid-late 70s. The band's final major incarnation featured Neil Giraldo, who immediately afterwards scored major success as Pat Benatar's co-writer and guitarist and husband to this day. Derringer and his first wife Liz were also members of Andy Warhol's extended circle and frequently appeared in rock magazines of the era. In his later years, he worked extensively with singer Cyndi Lauper and wrote and produced many popular songs for wrestlers, including Hulk Hogan's Real American, which has the curious legacy of being used as a theme song by Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well, it's just one of those songs, I guess.
Exactly. And if you're smart, you shut your mouth, you take the money, and you just let it be.
Darren's best song was a Demolition theme for the wrestling tag team, and I'll Die on That Hill. Okay.
Well, and that is fair. And although he is not still alive and well, he would say, "Don't ever say goodbye."
Yes. All right, and our final celebrity death, Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty, dies at age 79. Phil Robertson, who rose to fame as the patriarch of the Robertson family and hit the reality show Duck Dynasty, has died. His family announced he was 79. Thank you for the love and prayers and so many whose lives have been impacted by his life saved by grace, his bold faith, and by his desire to tell everyone who would listen the good news of Jesus, his family wrote on social media. We are grateful for his life on earth and will continue the legacy of love for God and love for others until we see him again. The A&E reality series Duck Dynasty, which ran from 2012 to 2017, followed the lives of the members of the Robertson family, shooting them to fame. Phil Robertson was briefly suspended by the network in 2013. In an interview with GEeky magazine, he said homosexuality was quote-unquote sinful and mentioned in connection with bestiality. A&E ultimately relented and ended his suspension without any episodes of the show being affected. Phil Robertson and his family were outspoken conservatives. Phil Robertson initially backed Ted Cruz in the 2016 Republican primary, but eventually said he would support President Donald Trump once he secured the party's nomination. Phil Robertson also backed Mr. Trump over former President Biden in 2020. Well, rest in peace. Did you ever watch Duck Dynasty?
I never saw a single episode of it.
Okay, neither have I, but I knew it was a big deal, so we figured we should mention it. All right, so let's get to some.
I mean, he does have an epic beard. I will say that about him.
No, they all do. Yeah, I've seen other pictures of them with the sunglasses. I assume they shot ducks. I apologize if I'm completely getting this wrong.
I have no idea.
Duck trappers. Okay, anyway,
I have no idea.
Moving on to...
Well, before we move on, I did want to acknowledge Darth Plato's comment. No, that's fine. We can move on to the next slide. But before we go to the next topic, Darth Plato says the reason why the Wonder Woman series time jump was because it was too expensive to do period piece sets. I understand that, but that was also a brilliant time to do it because just like Captain America in the comics, Wonder Woman also was a character who was a person out of time, had a World War II storyline that, they basically did what they did in the comics. She went back to Paradise Island after World War II, returned in the present day.
Yes.
And continued the stories with the current heroes in the current timeline. So she was, at least in the Gold and Silver Age, she served with the All-Star Squadron and the Justice Society during the World War II era. And then she later served with the Justice League in the Silver Age. And then after Wonder Woman died in the Crisis on Infinite Earth, fighting the Anti-Monitor, she got a reboot post-Crisis, where she comes to Man's World for the first time in the 80s, and to explain the story of her World War II adventures, it was actually her mother, Queen Hippolyta, who took her place in the past. Yes.
Interesting. I remember on Justice League, the animated series, Wonder Woman was forbidden from coming back to Paradise Island because she brought the Justice League to the island to save it, because everyone on the island had been turned to stone by the evil wizard, I think Faust, and they were she needed Superman and Batman's help, but basically she basically, even though she saved the Amazons by bringing men to the island, she broke their biggest rule. You can't bring men to the island,
men are
and
not
that was
supposed to
it.
set foot on the island. Exactly.
And in a later episode, when they were dealing with I think an evil Amazon that was doing trouble in our world, they had to send Hawkgirl to talk to the Queen because she again Wonder Woman wasn't allowed back on the island when the family.
And as I recall, there was an episode. Now my memory is failing me. I can't remember if it was an episode of the cartoon or if it was in the comics where Superman went with Wonder Woman to Paradise Island, and because he could fly, he simply never set foot on Paradise Island.
Interesting. I wonder if it could have been the Ruby Spears animated series, because I know they did a crossover episode where Superman showed up, helped the Amazons in one episode, but
wow,
I don't know if that was it or not. I've never seen that show. I've always meant to watch it because it was it kind of used the Superman theme from the '79 movie in it, so it was sort of like a stopgap between those movies and what came.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I'll have to look into that because I didn't know anything about it.
I heard it was good.
I'm sure. Sure.
You might have it. Didn't you say you had it on DVD? I thought you mentioned.
I have a lot of things on DVD that I picked up at the Metropolis Superman Festival, and I haven't even gotten around to watching yet. Yeah.
There was also a comic run where the writer hated the character, so he killed her off, and he was very indignant about it. Yeah, maybe stop hiring people that hate your characters and have them work on your stuff. Can that maybe happen?
And I think you also have to remember, if you're working for a company that owns an IP, they own it and you don't. You are an employee. Respect your, I couldn't go into a job and, smash up the fax machine because I didn't like it. I would get fired.
You can introduce your own characters, you can do things, but don't mess with the character, because that's what people. Anyway, speaking of things being messed with,
yes,
Nintendo Switch 2 is on tonight.
This thing is really getting a lot of negatives before anyone even has a chance to,
So the headline is Nintendo Switch is already in some users' hands, but a mandatory update means they can't be played. This is from Video Game Chronicle. One user has posted a Switch 2 unboxing video, and Nintendo Switch 2 is officially in public hands, but early users have allegedly discovered they're unable to play the console before launch. On Tuesday, a YouTube user posted a short video of them opening up a retail Nintendo Switch 2 unit, which, based on the retailer packaging, was likely obtained early in the United Arab Emirates. It's interesting about United Arab Emirates. I actually got a 3DS game from there once, because it was the only way I could get a copy of this game. It's technically the games that we get released over here in North America, they also get over in the United Arab Emirates, and I think it was to sell to service men and women over there in the armed forces. So it's basically the same game, but it has there's a difference on the packaging, like it'll just say United Arab Emirates edition on it or something, but it's interesting. One user has I
am not going to read what Geek Flag said. But I definitely agree with the sentiment. You know what? I'm going to bring it up. And if you want to read it silently to yourself, you absolutely can. But I agree. I'll read the last half of it. Sideways with a hot poker.
Yes. Anyway, well, this is a family stream, and Nintendo's a family company. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a company that hates your family. That's what you mean.
Listen to me. You're okay.
You're having a hard time defending them, aren't you?
I'm not having a hard time. I will say this. Their last console, the Nintendo Switch, I would give an A. If I were grading it, I would give it an A. I thought good quality games, not horribly expensive, good bargain, good family entertainment. And I'll say this, when Nintendo releases a game to market, it's not a broken pile of crap, unlike games some other companies release. Cough, Xbox, cough. Okay, there we go.
Okay, fair.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Now, for some reason, though, in the last few months, I think this is they're having some troubles here. But anyway, according to the user, they were unable to actually play the Switch 2 console. However, because it requires an update to function before the official June 5th release date. A second person who is alleged to be able to obtain Switch 2 early said to have sent proof of the news to Deal Aggregator Wario64. I have no permission to post pics, but can share that when they try to boot a Switch, I message prompts, please connect to the internet to update your system, they wrote. According to Wario64 source, the Switch 2 games cannot be booted without the mandatory update. If true, it means the Switch 2 owners will need to connect their consoles to the internet before they can be used. However, it's also possible that physical games include the system update. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so in other words, you're buying a physical thing, but you still need to be connected to the internet. And there's no need to apologize. I have no problem with the language. It's just the platform we're on that does. So I can't say it out loud, but I have no problem with you saying it. You'll notice that we specifically have our channel set so that you can post with that kind of language. It comes through just fine.
After all, yes, no, you're fine, Geek Flag. It's fine.
Exactly.
Here's where I'm at. I've often argued Nintendo's only as good as their competition, and right now I think this is just a bad console generation. Everyone's acting out of line. I think Sony is the best of the three. I'll admit that, but even they're not perfect. I don't like the idea of me having, when I buy a Pro console, I have to buy the disc drive separately. If I'm paying for a Pro console, you include that disc drive in the system. Anyway,
everything is a la carte these days. You want a controller? Well, I guess you're going to have to buy a controller. Oh, you want two controllers so two people can buy it? You got to buy another controller.
They usually at least...
you want to plug it in for electricity? You got to buy one of the cords.
Okay. As well. We've not gotten there yet. That day may be coming with controllers.
I was just going to say, I love that you said yet.
Anyway, with it fewer than 10 days until Switch Global launch day. So it's interesting. The system just is not working if you own it early, which is interesting. Now, the only time I've had this happen to me...
Can you explain? I may have missed something, or maybe I'm just, this isn't my area. But why did people get it early?
Because he got a copy that was probably sent to the United Arab Emirates, and somehow someone broke the launch date. Now, I will say this. In retailers, you cannot break launch dates. I used to work for a book retailer, and you had better not put a book out prior to the approved launch date, or your store is going to be in big trouble. So
I get it. So in other words, what they're saying is, you're not supposed to have it yet anyway. So, but still...
The hardware doesn't work until it gets that update, and it won't.
But that's exactly what I mean. That means when you're buying something, you're not buying something that works independently from the internet. Once again, you're buying an incomplete product that, if it's not connected to the internet, you cannot use, and they can brick it at any point whenever they choose.
Now, I can't speak to whether or not the Xbox Series systems are like this. Well, I assume the digital consoles are like this because you can't use them without the internet anyway, but I don't know about the ones that have the drives in them made by the competition, if they're the same way. I don't remember. Go ahead.
What Nate is saying is what I've been saying. Buying a disc drive separately is just so stupid. I think I'm just going to buy or have someone build me a gaming PC. And so many people, based on all of these articles we've been talking about with all these consoles, are starting to say, you know what? We don't want consoles anymore. You're not giving us an impetus to get your console when I can just get this on PC.
But I want consoles. I want consoles. I just want ones that are good. That's all.
Yeah, you sound like a heroin addict. Heroin addicts want heroin.
No, I like the simplicity. Anyway, but apparently,
they like the high. Whatever.
Supposedly, the next Xbox console is going to be a PC, from what I've heard. Anyway, but moving on. I'm not joking there. I think it's actually going to be like an Xbox branded PC. This is the best one of the night, though. This is for Street Fighter 6 on Switch with a big catch. Now this I'm not necessarily blaming on Nintendo. I think this is more a Capcom thing, but it's almost like the worst of both worlds. The physical release of Street Fighter 6 for the Nintendo Switch 2 comes with a huge catch. Not only does the game come with a game key card, but the DLC is a code in a box that expires in 2 years. This is from Game Rant. Street Fighter 6 is one of the launch titles for the upcoming Switch 2, and many fans are disheartened to see these limitations on the game's physical release. So can I explain this to you? Okay, released in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as you know, a lot of these Switch third-party games are on game key cards, which means that the game is not actually on the little cartridge card thing you get. It's you put it in your system and it downloads a digital copy to your Switch that can only be played once this key card is inserted. But apparently Capcom has doubled up and they're not including the DLC on the game key card. That you have to get by putting a code in from the box. And apparently this is going to expire in 2 years, so this doesn't even come with the season passes. Those you have to download separately from a code, which also means if you resell your game key card, whoever gets it next or whoever buys it in over 2 years will not get the DLC. So they're going to miss out on a lot of fighters. This is a mess. This is such a mess.
This is the kind of thing that if it was me, I would say, you know what? You can keep your console. You can shove it up your tailpipe. I'm going to be, gaming on a PC, and I may not be playing your games anymore.
Look, yeah. I don't know. I remember my brother was trying to sell me on getting a Steam Deck, but he says, this might drive you crazy. It doesn't always say with the Steam Deck what games on Steam are Steam Deck compatible and which ones aren't. They haven't quite ironed that out yet. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just... Gaming is complicated. I know I have to just suck it up and get a PC, but I don't want to. Here's some good news. So... worst case scenario, there's always the Evercade. I don't know if I've bothered explaining the Evercade to you before.
I don't know.
Though in a way you kind of own 2 Evercades as of right now. That little Atari thing I bought you and that Tato thing I bought you takes Evercade cartridges. Basically, a United Kingdom company called Evercade, they came out with a portable years ago that takes actual cartridges, and they'll put a few games on there. Like they'll have like earlier cartridges that were like an Atari collection or a Namco collection.
Right.
And they branched out and doing arcade collections more recently and even putting modern indie games on them too. So like if someone makes an indie game for like the old Nintendo or the Sega Genesis or one of these old consoles and they can actually put that game on one of these Evercade cartridges and now you have a physical copy of this game. And you can play it on your TV with an Evercade console called the Evercade Versus or on one of their portable devices. So it's kind of neat, but
I gotta say, I love those. I really do.
Yes.
I mean, I really, you're a very good gift giver. You've given me some
stop
great gifts.
it.
I really appreciate. No, I'm serious. I really do.
Well, I think those things are neat. Now, those are the Super Pockets. They're put out by Blaze, which I think is the same company that owns Evercade, and they take Evercade cartridges on them too. So you can actually take the little back off. It takes off, and you can put a cartridge in it. And they also have other things they produce. They have. Let me get into this article from Game Asylum. There was a very distinct theme to this evening's Evercade showcase. Arcade games are on the horizon for the cartridge-based system, and lots of them. First off, August, Neo Geo Arcade 1 is being accompanied by a solo cart. Roguecraft DX is an Amiga indie game that's being bolstered with new content. It takes on the form of an isometric dungeon crawler where every playthrough is different. This announcement seems to have gone down well with Evercade owners seeking something more in depth. Here's what's fascinating about indie developers. A few two guys decided, let's make a game for the old Amiga computer. That's what they did here, but using modern know-how of game design and what can we do with these older systems. That's what they do a lot, and it's neat. And you can buy it in physical form on the Evercade, which is rather neat. They also announced new arcade collections, Tato Arcade 1 and 2. Tato Arcade 1 comes with games Bubble Bobble, Space Invaders. Have you heard of that one?
I think I might have heard of something like that. Yes.
The Legend of Kage, Growl, which is a wonderful Tato beat 'em up where you play a couple of guys that are basically going after poachers, I think, in Africa, and you're just killing poachers. And I think you can even let lions out of cages, and the lions attack the poachers. And I'm like, this is... I mean, kill the poachers, I guess. It's a arcade game. Doki Don, Chack and Pop, Pirate Pete, all these other weird Tato Arcade games. Tato Arcade Game 2 has Operation Wolf. That was a light gun game we used to play in the arcade. Rastan, which is like Conan. Elevator Action. You might have heard of Elevator Action. I don't know, back in the day.
It seems familiar.
It's got a few other games on it too. Also, Neo Geo Arcade 2 and 3. I need to explain to you what the Neo Geo was.
Okay.
The Neo Geo, I believe, came out before the Super Nintendo did, but this was like the elite gamers console. The console itself, back in I think the early '90s, was $600, kind of like modern pricing. The cartridges themselves were at least $200 to $250. But the idea is that this is the arcade at home, because Neo Geo, SNK, they also produced a series of arcade games, and basically the cartridges you bought for this console were the same as practically the same as the cartridges you got for the arcade machines. Same technology, very advanced. These cartridges now go for a small fortune. Apparently, one was being traded in a locked briefcase, like someone would be trading a valuable antique or diamonds or something like that. That's how these are. But now I can pick them up for $30 in these little mini cartridges.
There
So
you go.
Neo Geo Arcade 2 will include Guru Mark of the Wolves, Art of Fighting 2, Metal Slug 2, Cross Swords, Ninja Commando, Sengoku 2. Okay, so if you're into old school gaming, Evercade is kind of neat. But the coolest thing I think they announced, and this might even interest you, they have these little bar top arcade systems. So these are not like full size arcade machines. These are like something you put on the top of your bar. But they already have two Capcom ones. But now they announce Evercade Alpha Tato bar top arcade machine, and this includes Puzzle Bobble, Space Invaders, The New Zealand Story, Growl, and Rastan. The same games that are kind of on your Tato Pocket, but now you get to play them on a mini arcade machine. So that's
pretty cool. And I'm aware of those like bar top, type.
Like I think My Arcade makes some too, but it's neat that Evercade is making this one for Tato. I have to tell you, in some ways, Evercade shot themselves in the foot, because they're releasing the Tato cartridges, so I don't think I'm going to bother with the bar top arcade. But I might have picked this thing up because I've often joked it's either Midway, make me a Midway arcade game bar top, or a Tato arcade bar top, and I'll probably buy it. And who knows, maybe I'll still buy this. We'll see. But I want a Midway arcade bar top. That's the other one. Midway games like Rampage.
Oh, I of course know Midway games. Sure.
Nothing from Midway on the Evercade yet. They've had Atari collections on the Evercade, but nothing from. Back in the day, Midway was also Atari. Those games were put out by Atari, but then it split off and it became Midway games. Now Warner Media owns Midway games. That's why you got that Rampage movie with The Rock, remember?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Do you gentlemen want to be it's fine. No, well, this is the thing. If you're into old school arcade games, and my idea with me getting the Evercade and these arcade cartridges was I can't really afford the space for these large scale reproductions that they've been making of these arcade games, but I can pick up these cartridges, and they don't take a lot of space, and they're priced to own. They're only like, they originally was $20, but they've increased to $30 since then. But that's kind of neat. So yeah, just thought I'd mention this. So you know what? I'll just go old school for the next few years until the console industry gets its act together.
I mean, yeah.
Speaking of console industry or portable industry, looks like Microsoft's Xbox handheld has been canceled. Remember, we leaked the prototype a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Last year, a story broke that Microsoft was working on a prototype for an Xbox handheld console that could potentially compete with Valve's Steam Deck. However, a new report suggests Microsoft is putting aside its ambitions for a dedicated handheld, at least for now. According to Windows Central, Microsoft is shifting its priority from its Xbox handheld to focus on improving the gaming performance of Windows 11 on third-party devices, including Asus, Project Kenman. The report notes that Microsoft still has ambitions of releasing its own handheld, and it's developing additional technology toward the goal, but for the immediate future, that's not a priority. I will defend Xbox in that fact that they didn't officially announce this thing. I mean, it was a rumor.
Okay.
But, yeah, Microsoft has confirmed that there was an Xbox prototypes in the past, none of which made it out of development. So they've been toying with this, but nothing was ever officially announced. Apparently people hated this thing anyway, so it's fine. I have something nice to say about Sony this week, because in an age where everyone's talking about increasing prices, Sony actually is having a sale this week. So if any of you are on the fence of getting a PlayStation 5, now might be the time. In a post on, this is from IGN, in a post on the PlayStation blog, Sony announced the return of Days of Play, which kicks off May 28th and runs to June 11th. Days of Play begins May 28th at 12:01 a.m. through June 11th at 11:59 p.m. local time in each region. Deals on the PlayStation 5 consoles include, in the United States and Canada, PlayStation 5 console, the Call of Duty Black Ops bundle, digital and standard, will be available starting at $399 USD dollars. So for $400, you can get the digital console. I believe the standard console that comes with Call of Duty is $449.99. So it's $50 more to get the drive with it. This is the standard PlayStation 5 console. In select regions such as Europe and Asia, PlayStation 5 console will be on promotion. You can look those prices up. There will be offers on PlayStation 5 accessories and games, including $50 USD for PlayStation VR 2. So you get $50 off the PlayStation virtual reality glasses if you want to put those on your head. Did you know that PlayStation does virtual reality?
No, I didn't.
They used to advertise Resident Evil 7, the first-person Resident Evil game, and it's like you're in the room and the cockroaches, it feels like the cockroaches are right on your hands. It's like,
oh, gosh.
It was this horrifying commercial with this poor girl with this VR headset on. It's all the horrible stuff in Resident Evil 7.
Oh, my God.
It's like...
I don't know that this is really a sell... Well, I guess it's a selling feature to a certain demographic. I don't know.
30 days off Pulse Explorer wireless earbuds, $30 off DualSense Edge wireless controllers. So now the controllers are $59.99. That means the controllers are $89.99 normally?
I guess.
Prices have gone up. I'm telling you, $20 off an Access. I don't know what all these are. $20 off DualSense wireless controller. Okay. Various discounts on PlayStation 5 games, including Astrobot. That's a good one. MLB The Show, $25. That's Major League Baseball. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered and Lego Horizon Adventures. Meanwhile, as players who join the PlayStation Plus during this year's Days of Play can save up to 33% on select 12-month memberships. For players who are currently PlayStation Plus Essential or Extra member, you can save 33% remainder of your membership when upgrading to PlayStation Plus Premium Deluxe. I don't have it mentioned here, but apparently the PlayStation 5 Pro is also on sale. It's still rather expensive, but it is on sale right now. So I will give Sony points while everybody else is talking about increasing prices. They actually did put their stuff on sale. So good on them.
So there you go.
Far cry from the days of the $299 PlayStation 4, though, when it was on sale. But anyway, I didn't know you guys were doing a story about Xbox handheld. What? Oh, sorry, missed. My son just bought a custom Xbox controller that was $120. He probably got a deal on that one. I hate to say. I understand the ones you're talking about. They had them on sale at Target a little while back for around that price, so he did get a deal on it. Those are the higher end controllers. They're actually going to be a lot more money in the next few months. Microsoft's increasing the prices. So,
yikes!
Those are for the professionals like these controllers. Apparently, they're so good you can buy these things to put on the back of the controller, and you can actually control the top buttons to free up your thumbs for the sticks. Because you get to use all. It's supposed to make you better at competitive esports, basically.
Wow.
Okay.
No,
Microsoft makes good controllers. I mean, I pick on Xbox, but I'd be dishonest if I said they're not some good things. I do like the Xbox controller. My nephew was actually a part of that test group for the handheld. He said it was Oh, wait a minute! I have to post that.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Look, here's the deal. I don't have a problem with a company saying we've made a mistake. We're not putting it out. This should happen. Sony, they did that disastrous Concord release, but they refunded people's money and said we made a mistake. I will give them points for that.
Sure.
They probably shouldn't have done it to begin with because they wasted a ton of money on it, but at least they refunded people their money and took it off the market. You can save on Sony this week. So, and Astrobot, I'll say that should be their new mascot. It's a Mario style platformer. I heard good things about it. And this is the worst story of the week as far as I'm concerned, because this was something I was ready to buy. And thank you, Smash JT, for giving me a warning about this, because I'm angry about this. And I feel like Capcom did a great job. They released the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 for $39.99. You get a bunch of games on the thing for just $39.99, and a lot of these old Dreamcast games I didn't get to buy, and then cool, we're getting Onimusha 2 Remaster for $29.99, no physical copy, which annoyed me, but okay, but it's still cool to release this. But there are catches with this re-release. Capcom, you had one job, bring back beloved classic in better shape than it left the PS2, but no, instead you've managed to make Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny Remaster worse than the original in nearly every single way, and fans aren't just disappointed. They're furious. Why do game companies keep doing this? Because they have consultants at the companies that tell them what is morally right for a Western audience. Okay, let's start with the basics. On top of the ridiculous, unnecessary censorship, this remaster of a 23-year-old PlayStation 2 game has been saddled with de novo DRM, the anti-piracy software notorious for degrading performance, locking players out of their own purchases, and punishing paying customers to the actual pirates it seeks to stop in the first place. The irony, this is a remaster of a game from 2002, a game that runs better on a PlayStation 2 emulator. I hate DRM with games you purchase. If I purchase the game, there should be no other caveats. I'm the customer. I now own the game. And Capcom did this once before with something I purchased, and I got furious at it. They released the Final Fight Magic Sword remasters for the PlayStation 3, and after I bought it, I realized that the game could not be played unless I was connected to the internet. And they did not disclose this before purchasing. This was a big stink, and there was nothing I could do about it. Frankly, Sony should have intervened and offered refunds on that because Capcom didn't disclose they were doing this. This is like Nintendo. They're wanting control over what you purchase.
Yeah.
And frankly, if anybody wants to play a pirated version of Onimusha 2, I'm sorry, it's easy. It's what, a 22-year-old game. People want to find a way to play it without paying for it. They're going to find a way. Don't punish your paying customers. Denuvo's long been hated in the PC circles for its impact on performance with its slower loading times, increased CPU usage, and restrictions on modding, to name just a few massive drawbacks. But for whatever reason, I'm assuming he's talking about the PC version of this, but for all I know, this is other versions. This is apparently what's on the Steam version. And of course, there's also censorship, as you can see in this picture. What really set fans off is how Capcom thought it would be a fantastic idea to censor content in a freaking M-rated game, specifically by changing a female character's outfit to something more quote-unquote conservative. The change might seem minor to most at a glance, but that's not the point here, and it's something I've harped on for ages. The outrage many, including myself, are feeling from the principle of the matter. If developers are willing to retroactively censor content in a game made for adults, what else might they change next time? Yes, censorship's a slippery slope. Fans took to social media to voice their disappointment. From a must-buy to no-buy, necessary censorship is really annoying. Do better. It's fine now like it was then. Fine then. This is pathetic. One user summed it up best. When Capcom didn't offer a censorship toggle either, something as simple as what Call of Duty Black Ops 3 had with its graphic content setting. Technology and precedent exists, but Capcom didn't bother. Clearly, they have an ideology to follow here. No, this is about them telling you, the male gamer, that you're not allowed to look at this extra costume of the woman that shows a little bit of cleavage. That's what this is about. There's nothing about that costume that's in bad taste. I don't know what they're freaking out about. Hello, Jessica Hardo. This was a game I was going to buy, Troy, and I'm not buying it now. This is not happening. Knock it off.
Yeah, good to hear. I mean, we should not be rewarding this kind of behavior.
I remember Devil May Cry 5 came out, and I think there was some brief nudity in one scene of like a woman's backside because Dante, the hero, is picking up a woman that gets hurt, and he's just kind of picking her up to rescue her. And it's a scene that wasn't in bad taste. And I remember the PlayStation 4 version. Suddenly, that scene got cut out, and I think I ended up getting it on the Xbox One. I think it got restored in the PlayStation 4 version, but again, nothing in that was in bad taste. And I'm just getting tired of this weird prudishness and I'm sorry, you need a reason and stop buying your games.
It's kind of funny because it used to be the ultra conservative religious right that was puritanical about this kind of stuff. Now it's the knee jerk left postmodernists, it seems like.
I just don't get it. Just take the costume out then and replace it with a different costume. Don't do this horrible censorship.
Or how about
leave it alone?
Don't want it, don't buy the game. Let everyone else do what they want to do. I'm sick of people trying to control other people.
This is an adult character in this game. The costume is not in bad taste. I'm just done. Scene wasn't.
Yeah, what happened to a woman has a right to choose and express herself and all that kind of stuff?
You're correct, Matanui. I think there was a lens flare. I think there was a lens. I don't remember now. Yeah, I think you're right. They did add a lens flare, and then they fixed it later. They added a lens flare so you couldn't see what the woman looked like. Okay, so I guess they were just trying to emulate J.J. Abrams. Anyway, moving on. I'm sorry, he's really about the lens. There was lens filler all over Force Awakens when that came out. Remember?
He did the same thing in Star Trek too.
Yes. Long-awaited Batman director's cut gets devastating release update. Yeah.
This is really upsetting a lot of fans because it's like, look, you did the Snyder cut, you did the Donner cut, you do this cut, you do that cut. Look, people are willing to pay for it. Do you not like money? What is wrong with you?
Following the release, this is from Movie Web. Following the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, DC fans have been on a warpath demanding that Warner Brothers release the original cuts of past DC movies, along with David Ayer's version of Suicide Squad. Joel Schumacher's original cut of Batman Forever was another centerpiece for the campaign. Fans nearly got their way as the original cut was set to screen at the end of May, but like Bane breaking Batman's body, Warner Brothers had broken fan spirits by canceling the screening. A screening of Batman Forever, the Schumacher cut, was set to take place at Cinephile Video in Los Angeles on May 29th, organized by the YouTube channel 1995 Batman. However, the channel recently published an update saying that the screening had been canceled by Warner Brothers. Some unfortunate news came today as the Schumacher cut screening in LA was canceled. The update began. The local theater Cinephile Video received a cease and desist from Warner Brothers after circulation of the screening made national headlines. In Batman Forever, Val Kilmer had the difficult task of replacing fan favorite Michael Keaton. Yeah, I know that. Okay. According to the Post, Cinephile Video wouldn't have made any money from the screening. This was a free screening, but the public attention on the event caused Warner Brothers to step in regardless. The management did the best they could, but they had no way to fight it and had to cancel the screening and continue. The theater weren't making money off the show, showing the work print, but it's clear that Warner Brothers saw things a bit different. I'm gutted. Thankfully, the event was still 5 days out. An 11th hour cancellation would be a lot worse. Yeah, I don't know.
This looks particularly bad in light of the recent passing of Val Kilmer. So, you're not earning yourself any points here, Warner Brothers, and you need your fans to love you if you want them to show up for your new Gunverse. Just saying.
I never even saw the movie with Carrey's Riddler. He's the best part of the movie as far as I'm concerned. He's a bit of a nut.
I think one of the biggest problems with the movie is the same problem that you have with you started to see it with Returns, and you see it even more with Batman and Robin. You keep adding characters and adding characters. If you were going to have Jim Carrey as Riddler, you should not have had Two-Face. And here, pay attention to what I'm going to say here, folks. They race swapped a character they'd already established in the first movie.
Yes, Billy D. Williams.
Now, yes, you could argue that Billy D. Williams was, in quotes, race swap from the comics. But this was a double race swap. So we had already accepted Billy D. Williams. We wanted Billy D. Williams. And let me tell you something. If you want to see Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, check out the Batman 89 comic.
Yes.
It's I haven't actually gotten to read it yet because I'm still reading Batman Resurrection.
Yes.
But you know what, Hollywood? The fans don't need you. We got other ways to get our fix.
Well,
we wouldn't have had the Donner cut if the fans hadn't gone out and made it themselves and shared it out on the high seas. And when they started sending out cease and desist, they said, look, we'll pay for it. Yes. Give it to us.
All Batman
they were like, oh, there's money to be made here, huh?
All Batman villains are nuts, Boomer. You know what I want to say to that? There was a scene on Batman the Animated Series where Ra's al Ghul is calmly explaining to Batman his plans to restore a green Earth. And then Batman responds, oh, I see it clearly now. And Ra's goes, you do, don't you? And he says, yes, you're completely out of your mind. That's what he says. Ra's al Ghul didn't take kindly. even Batman is nuts. Well, if you watch Batman the Brave and the Bold, I start to wonder if Batman is insane on the spoof cartoon. But everyone in Gotham is crazy. That goes with villains too. I don't know. Dick Grayson struck me as grounded, didn't he?
Yeah, and that was actually part of his role. I mean, they even covered that
to help
when
keep Batman from the edge. Probably.
Exactly, when
Yes.
Dick Grayson became Nightwing, and for a while Batman was without a Robin. Tim Drake came along and was trying to convince. He proves himself to be an amateur detective because he's figured out who Batman and Robin really were. And he goes to Dick Grayson at Titan Tower and says, "Look, Nightwing, I know you used to be Robin. You're Dick Grayson. Bruce is in trouble and he needs your help." And Dick's like, "I can't go back to being Robin." But you're right. He does need a Robin. Yeah. And that's how Tim Drake became Robin.
Batman does not eat nachos.
I'll take it your word. If you can't eat it in the Batmobile, it's going to be.
It wasn't the case on the Batman animated series that came later, not the original Batman, the other Batman series. He would eat. Alfred made special nachos for him, but Grayson was nuts about his glutes. Yes, look, I don't know this whole thing about whether Batman's nuts or not. That's fine. You can. I mean, I think he's fine, but I do remember that line in the one Christopher Nolan a movie where like I think the Scarecrow made something. That's not my diagnosis because I think the Scarecrow thought Batman was nuts. Of course, the Scarecrow's nuts, so am I supposed to trust his diagnosis, right? But
I mean, anyway, good point.
Anyway, moving on to. I like this one. Yeah, Ralph Macchio. This is a nice interview. I can't read the whole thing. But Ralph Macchio insisted that Karate Kid Legends delay its release until after Cobra Kai. I'm going to take that part of the interview from it's from. So this is an interviewer. And based on your first scene with Jackie and the Coda, I assume that you killed two birds with one stone by shooting Karate Kid Legends Miyagi House scenes on Cobra Kai's Miyagi House set in Atlanta. But Legends actually rebuilt the house in Montreal. That's what I thought too when I see the trailer. I'm like, oh, that's the Miyagi house, right? That we had.
By the way, I'll have to post this later. All of our references, by the way, listed below in the description. Check out the articles for yourself. I did want to mention in relation to this, I just saw 3 days ago a channel called the Mystical Kitchen. They have a series called Last Meals where they have different celebrities come and share and eat what they would choose if they knew it would be their last meal. And Ralph Macchio has a meal that, let me tell you, the kid's got good taste. I mean, it's very clear he's paisano. So I mean,
I need to guess. Papecchio was on the list.
Well, he had a pasta olio aglio with a fish topping.
I don't know what that is, but I want it. Okay.
Yeah, that's good stuff. It's a multi, and I'm sure he wouldn't eat the whole thing. He's just taking little bits of it. He's got a story behind each one about like there's and I'm gonna have to watch this video again and see if I can kind of guess how the dish was made. It's like a fried moulignon. I don't know what eggplant parmesan. And I don't like eggplant parmesan. And the way he describes it and the way his grandmother made it, I'm like, I might be really willing to try that dish. Anyway, I've totally gotten off on a tangent. I will post the link to the video later on in down below to check out what Ralph Macchio would eat for his last meal. A lot of great stories there too about his time. Well, actually, he mentions a few things in promotion of this movie about his time as the Karate Kid and in Cobra Kai and whatnot, and a bunch of other movies you might have forgotten that he was in that he talks about too. So,
yeah. But I did want to read this one quote of his.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, when I finished Cobra Kai, we had a wrap party the next day, and the following morning I was on a plane to Montreal. I stepped onto a running train, and it was the weirdest feeling. I literally was at someone else's house, but I kind of helped build the house. So it was interesting to do this full shift by leaving this family of 7 years time, since 65 episodes, which is kind of unheard of today, certainly in the streaming world. And then I was stepping onto a big screen movie that I was part of, but wasn't settled into yet. So that transition was a bit of a challenge. Not that anyone made it difficult. I was just in my own head now that I was shifting gears in a story just 3 years later. Think about this.
Yeah.
I wonder if they even started shooting scenes for this thing, and he leaves Cobra Kai and then jumps into this other movie.
I know.
Just so you know, when this movie was initially slated for December 13th, 2024 release, I was screaming constantly every day, this movie has to come out after the show finishes. And once marketing got together and realized that the December 24 release would not benefit either, they did the right thing. Karate Kid Legends is now coming at a time where I like to believe that Cobra Kai fans are thirsty for another chapter. There's also brand new fans who may not have even seen Cobra Kai or the original film that would have a great time at the cinema. There are a few balls up in the air. You have to be diplomatically safe, and I don't know which one is going to land. I hope all of them do, and some of them do, or one of them does. The success of Karate Kid Legends could propel all that stuff. It's different, but same. There's a Miyagi-ism for you.
There you go.
It's interesting. From what I heard, this movie takes place 3 years after the end of Cobra Kai. That's what I heard when the time frame is.
Yeah,
which makes sense if you follow the time frame of the show, because the show kind of sped up the time frame, Yeah,
right. And I am glad that they did kind of keep the continuity and
yes,
and tighten up the canon. And I do understand there is a mid-credit scene. And in this video that I was just talking about, the last meal, apparently he implies that whatever that is, that I don't know officially, I don't know what it is, it may lead to some sort of a sequel potential, or even a crossover potential. So we'll see.
Cobra Kai nostalgia done right. Just my thoughts.
Because here's why. It's not just nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. It's looking at a film we were nostalgic for and saying, is there more story to tell? And if there is, how do we do it in a way that honors what went before, doesn't step all over the established canon, and continues to tell a good story?
Yeah.
It doesn't alienate the old audience, and gives you plenty of reason to bring in a new audience that would be interesting.
And
it's just good storytelling, I guess, is what I'm getting.
Yes. So good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Karate Kid Legends. I will try to catch it. I think it's already out in theaters, but I have to catch the next Mission Impossible, and I have to catch this. I do, like I told you, though, my sister to get me a 3-month use anytime card for the cinema, so I will be using that.
Nice. Well, you know what you need to start doing then, Boomer?
Doing the mystery night at the movies and going on to.
Well, there's that. You go, you see a movie, you review it on Criticless, right? And you create a video here. And start doing movie reviews.
Well, we'll see. Maybe I will do that.
There you go.
And of course, our friend
let's talk. If you need some help, maybe setting up some promos and some intros.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Only so many hours in the day, but we'll see. Maybe
I know.
Started. And also, do check out Big Al, who often does his 10-word reviews. So.
10-word reviews are my favorite because they're short little reviews that give you some insight into whether or not you might want to see a movie. Sometimes they're the new ones that are just out. Sometimes they're old ones you never even heard of. So it's definitely worth checking.
Ouija Shark.
Like Ouija Shark. Yes, exactly.
All right, another theater collapse. Yikes.
Okay, so when I saw this, there was 2 things that jumped out at me. One, it's a very dangerous, possibly deadly situation while people are watching Final Destination Bloodlines. So that's one thing that stands out.
They might have thought it was part of the movie.
Right, exactly. That's a little bit too. That's taking virtual reality and making it reality. But the other
William
thing
Castle
is,
do that stuff where you get shocked while watching The Shocker or something in a theater,
Yeah, but that was intentional. This was not. The other thing is that we had just, I don't know, a couple months ago, we did an article about a ceiling collapse in a cinema during the Captain America movie. And I'm like, okay, if I had a nickel for every time a ceiling collapsed in a cinema during a premiere of a movie, well, yes, I would only have 10 cents, but it's pretty amazing it's happened twice.
Yes. Only twice. Hopefully
that
no
we
more
know
than
of
that.
so far. You know what? I'll say, though, I'm starting to think that these kinds of things might happen more often if people don't start taking care of the infrastructure of their buildings.
And hopefully not during a Minecraft movie, because people wouldn't even notice.
Oh gosh,
that's
that's
terrible.
Anyway, that's terrible.
In an unfortunate example of life imitating, our Argentine moviegoers were treated to an unwitting immersive experience as they screened Final Destination Bloodlines, with the theater ceiling collapsing mid-movie. The incident took place last week at Cinema Ocho La Plata, capital city of Argentina's Buenos Aires, according to Argentine digital publication Infobae. During a May 19th 9 p.m. showing of the sixth and latest installment in the horror franchise, which sees its protagonist stalked and eventually captured by death via bizarre accidents. Around 40 attendees had their viewing experience cut short as the roof of the number 4 let down debris. A really loud noise was heard. 29-year-old Fiamma Villaverde, who went to the screening on a whim with her 11-year-old daughter and a friend, told the outlet in Spanish. At first, we thought it was part of the movie because we were so engrossed, but immediately after a piece of rubble fell on me, she said the pieces struck her in the shoulder, back, knee, and ankle, adding, "It didn't hit my head because I was slightly leaning over the armrests." Video captured at the scene depicts a significant hole in the ceiling and debris on the floor between the aisles. Commotion can be heard as attendees chattered amongst themselves in the audible shock. Per local reports, the theater did not provide a statement regarding the incident. Moviegoers theorized the city's heavy rainfall could have contributed to the damage. For her part, Villaverde said that she is planning to file a complaint and has contacted a lawyer after missing days off work due to her severe bruises and an X-ray that diagnosed her with trauma from the blow. Well, I hope you get that sorted. That's awful. Release. Okay, so yeah, so
I will say that as long as no one died and no one was seriously injured, that's a good thing. But that comment about recent rains, okay, but these buildings are supposed to stand up to rain, which tells me there was probably some roof damage to begin with. There was some rotting away of material, lack of upkeep. Just saying. But here's my prediction. It may not happen. Maybe the movie company has better taste than this. But I'm expecting a sequel now to the Final Destination series in general, kind of the way not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street did with Wes Craven's New Nightmare that cast the characters or the actors as themselves. Like it had Robert Englund as Robert Englund in the movie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I predict that they're going to do a sequel that does that, blur the line between the real world and the fictional world.
Maybe.
And maybe they will they'll base it on, they will go reach out to the people that survived this event and say, we want to do characters based on you, and we want to say that you survived, and now the Final Destination's happening in the real world to your characters based on you. What do you think?
They could do that. It'd be funny to see it from the other side. Yeah.
And then in all of your marketing, you point to the actual event of this thing happening.
And the movie could start with people watching one of these movies and the ceiling collapsing on them. Anyway.
Well, I would, if I was them, I would reach out and say, use the actual news footage of the actual event, at the opening of your show.
I think that's what the new Scream movie is going to do. Oy vey. Scream. Oh, welcome Midnight's Edge After Dark, actually.
Wow, Tom, good to see you. Good to see you. But, thanks so much for being here. Man, it's awesome to see you here, my friend. It's good. Sorry I missed the member stream that you guys did earlier. I just busy. Just glad to support. So
dealing with technical issues too. But yeah, look.
That's great. So I got a full disclosure. I don't see the slideshow that Boomer puts together before we go live. So these kinds of things are a surprise to me. And oh my God, is that a knife? That's a switchblade. I don't know what this is or where you got it
I'm
from.
expecting Grover's going to say you disrespected the family.
Oh my gosh, that's an AK in Cookie Monster's
There
age.
you go.
Dude.
Oh, if you want something funny, they like doing overdubs of Sesame Street. These are early. This is early YouTube days. Overdubs of Sesame Street characters with Martin Scorsese movie dialogue. That was always a thing. Just like they had Bert and Ernie reenacting like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro from Casino. That's funny.
Brilliant. That is just brilliant.
All right, so but apparently Elmo hits Trump in lawsuit alleging blatant discrimination. What? This is from Marc Malnekoff. It's from MSM. President Donald Trump has become persona non grata on Sesame Street as PBS launched a lawsuit to block his federal funding cuts to the broadcaster. PBS and a public TV station in Minnesota filed a lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Washington on Friday, accusing the MAGA president of blatant viewpoint discrimination. The New York Times reported the suit comes after Trump signed a May 1st executive order axing all funding for PBS and NPR, alleging bias in their reporting. PBS lawyers hit back against Trump in the filing, arguing that the proposed cuts violate laws forbidding the president from serving as the arbiter of its content, which include kids-focused learning shows such as Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Elmo's World, and Sesame Street, which has since found a new home on Netflix. Wait a minute. With all due respect, didn't Fred Rogers pass away a while ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
are they showing repeats?
They may be. I don't know.
Okay. According to the lawyers, those laws also covered attempting to defund PBS. The executive order makes no attempt to hide the fact that it is cutting off the flow of funds to PBS because of the content of PBS programming and out of a desire to alter the content of speech. The complaint read, "This is a blatant viewpoint discrimination." New York Times reported that around 60% of PBS's $373.4 million annual budget comes in the form of grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. The nonprofit organization spends over $500 million annually in public media and receives its funding from Congress. Interesting. According to PBS lawyers, Trump's executive cut would destabilize around 61% of the budget it receives from local station dues for its programming. PBS CEO Paul Kerger called Trump's order blatantly unlawful. In a statement, PBS News reported that a spokesman for the broadcaster said it was necessary to take legal action to safeguard public television's editorial independence and to protect the autonomy of PBS member stations. Similarly, NPR also sued this week to block Trump's executive order, New York Times reported. Okay.
So let me weigh in on this, and keeping in mind that I am not a lawyer, I don't even play one on YouTube, so don't take anything I'm saying as legal advice or anything like that.
Yes,
just my personal opinion. I've always said that when someone else pays the bills, they're the ones that get to call the shots. And if you're taking a handout, if you're taking public dollars, the public gets a say in what you do. You do not have a right to those public dollars, as the BBC recently found out over there on the other side of the pond there. So if the administration says, we're cutting off your funding, we're not giving you any. Just remember, you're not entitled to it. And if you're concerned about your First Amendment rights, just remember the government, the guys paying your bills, don't have a First Amendment right. The individual has the right. The individual has the right. So if you are privately funded by, for example, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Despite its name, it is a corporation, right? It is a corporation.
Yes.
That corporation can give you money, absolutely. It's their money to do with as they choose. But guess what? We, the people, are the ones that control the purse strings of the government, our tax dollars, and you are not entitled to it, Sesame Street. So just saying, you want your First Amendment rights, pay for it yourself, and no one can say anything.
You know, in
But
defense,
when the government is paying for it, you don't necessarily have that level of freedom.
In defense, I don't think Elmo got involved in this.
Yeah, it's
I think Elmo is not.
They obviously do that, but it's funny though, because the people behind these shows actually use these characters to promote their messages. So it is from the children's point of view, as if Elmo is the one saying.
So what does PBS have? Now, to be fair, I do watch some PBS shows. I watch Masterpiece shows. I'm a big fan of All Creatures Great and Small.
Well, I will say that,
which is actually a pay for ITV show in England. It's not even a BBC show. It's a ITV show.
So it's probably a licensed thing. The PBS affiliate probably pays a licensing fee to show it. And keep in mind, when you're watching these PBS channels and you hear them say something like, this is paid for by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and a grant from this company, and a grant from that company, and a grant from the other, and by donations by people like you, and then they're asking for you to pledge. And I've pledged money to public broadcasting. Right. When did I do that? I did it on Sunday nights during Doctor Who. And I said, I am specifically giving you these funds because I expect you to continue to pay for episodes of Doctor Who, because once Doctor Who leaves your channel, you will no longer be getting my donation.
Boy, I remember that. I remember when they had those funds in New Jersey, and you're like, if you want to keep your Doctor Who, I'm just saying, we may not be, if we don't reach this mark. Remember the markers, and they would have the markers on there. They have to reach a certain amount. And I remembered it was like you would get this free mug or something. But again, I think what basically the complaint is their editorial or their news about how they report the news, and maybe there's bias in the news, and there actually shouldn't, especially PBS. That should be the most unbiased out there. They shouldn't be taking a POV of either left or right in the reporting. They should just be trying to get to the truth.
So. And that Robert's Infinite Realms brings up something that has bearing on this, and this relates to our article from before. So actually, they were owned they literally were bought by HBO, so they no longer belonged. If I'm understanding the legalities and the ownership, HBO had purchased Sesame Street from PBS. And a lot of people were kind of freaking out because, thank you. Because, it was no longer on PBS. It was now behind the paywall of HBO. Well, we just reported I think it was last week. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Boomer. But I think it was just last week that Netflix has now bought Sesame Street from HBO. So it is now belonging to
this is what I don't understand. Netflix has the rights to so this is this whole thing. Like, they can get the money for Sesame Street, even if
this is what I was leading to. The person that pays for it is the one that gets to say what they do. Now, I'm sorry. Are they still getting PBS dollars? Is Netflix receiving PBS dollars for one of there's a whole other legality thing that goes into that, I think. But if Netflix owns them, then you can put out whatever message you want, and you can claim First Amendment rights, but you get $0 from government funds because you are owned by Netflix, not PBS. And PBS is a whole different ball of wax. They're.
Netflix can pound sand if they want government money for Sesame Street. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what if they got government money for Sesame Street and then they put it into more Cleopatra-style documentaries? I'm sorry. I was just thinking that. Or Cuties Part 3 or something like that. I'm just... PBS often behaves like an arm of the government. Nowadays, PBS acts like the information arm of one political party. Yeah, well, they shouldn't be doing either. They're supposed to be...
Yep.
Don't get me started on NPR. I have my own thoughts on NPR. Especially
Let me just say, socialists think they have a right to your money, and you just remember that.
Did you see the Margaret Hoover? I don't typically talk politics. The Margaret Hoover interview with Bill O'Reilly. It was terrible. She kept yelling at him over the fact that he had some bad things to say about Herbert Hoover because that was like her great grandfather or something. And it's like, he
I'm sorry, but the public discourse does not care about your feelings.
The public discourse doesn't like Herbert Hoover. I'm sorry. Yeah. And he was a Republican. They still don't like him. I'm just... All right, moving on, though. Yeah, but I do like that picture. That's an old internet picture, isn't it? Wasn't that circulating like 20
I actually
years ago?
don't know.
I think
so. I don't actually know.
Look at that. Look at that. They look terrifying, don't they?
Kinda.
Wait till they go public domain. The horror movies will come out for that.
All right. Yeah.
Wheel of Time canceled. Oh boy. Yeah. Wheel of Time canceled by Prime Video after 3 seasons. States deadline.
Good riddance. I think it's 3 seasons too long.
Prime Video will not be renewing the Wheel of Time for a 4th season. The decision, which comes more than a month after the season 3 finale was released April 17th, followed lengthy deliberations, as often is the case in the current economic environment. The reasons were financial, as the series is liked creatively by the streamer's executives. The TV adaptation of the book series by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, co-produced by Sony Pictures TV and Amazon MGM Studios, is a high-end, pricey fantasy drama which ushered in the genre on Prime Video, later joined by Lord of the Rings, The Rings Power. Starring Rosamund Pike, The Wheel of Time got off to a strong start in 2021 as Prime Video's most watched series premiere of the year and one of the platform's top 5 launches of all time. 3 seasons in, the series has remained a solid performer, but its viewership has slipped, with the fantasy drama dropping out of Nielsen's top 10 originals charts after the first 3 weeks of season 3, while staying on the list for the entire runs of previous 2 seasons. So what happened in season 3? I've not been following this series. I have no idea, because I know fans of the show were not happy about this.
I am definitely not.
Series.
I am definitely not the target audience for this, because I've never read the Wheel of Time to begin with.
From what I've heard, fans of the book series consider this a travesty.
Well, good. Then it doesn't deserve my time. If I'm interested, I'll go read the books.
Yeah, go read the books. Yeah, the Nielsen rankings reflect U.S. viewership. Renewal decisions are made based on how the show does all around the world. Wheel of Time is a global title. It did rank number 1 on Prime Videos in multiple countries with most recent season. So the season 3 overall performance was not strong enough compared to the show's cost for Prime Video to commit to another season, and the streamer could not make it work after examining different scenarios and following discussions with lead studio Sony TV, sources said. With the cancellation possibility in the show's passion fan base in mind, the season 3 finale was designed to offer some closure. So the news would be a gut punch for fans who have been praising the latest season of the series' best yet creatively. If it's the best, why did the ratings go down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but there just weren't enough of you to keep it alive. So, yes. If you feel that strongly about it, go out there and get all your friends to start watching it. Otherwise, oh well.
Season 3 literally copied Dune. Oh, don't get me started on the Dune HBO series. Oh no. I haven't talked to you about that at all on here, have I? I did watch that Dune HBO series.
The Dune HBO series?
Yes, the prequel Dune series on HBO Max. Oh, sorry, it was on Max, not on HBO.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't HBO Max yet. It was still Max at the time. It was Dune Sisterhood of something. Dune this. I don't remember what it was. It was the prequel series.
Right. It was based on the Son's book or whatever.
Yes,
which I never liked the books. That came out from the Sun, so I probably wouldn't have liked it anyway.
just know there's so many problems I had with that series. Fans of the book thought the show was hot garbage because they changed so much of the characters and fundamentally changed the way magic works in the world. Well, they can do their own thing. Why bother following the source material? Do tell Boomer what about the Dune series? This is a problem, and I don't know if this is a problem with modern television. You have to indicate to me watching when you're showing a flashback. Because
Yeah.
when you have younger actors playing versions of characters that are older in the current era, and you don't say 20 years prior, or put sepia tone, or do something to indicate you're in a flashback, I'm getting confused and I don't know what's going on. Are these new characters? And I finally, oh no, these are younger versions of these older Bene Gesserit ladies. But I didn't know that at the time because it's confusing as all get out. And it's just, I also thought the whole point of Dune is that the AI wars happened and no more AI, but why does AI keep cropping up on this show? Because unless that was in the novels. Maybe that was in those prequel novels too. I don't know.
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah. Dune Prophecy, thank you, deleted scenes.
The way that the Butlerian Jihad is depicted retroactively in the original novels, and the way they were then covered by the Sun, there's some discrepancies there. So what I'm getting at is, yes, they're probably drawing from source material. They're drawing from the source material that the Sun wrote, Herbert's son.
Yes.
And that was already straying from what his father had written. So now, of course, you got these people that go, well, this is fiction. We can make up whatever we want. No, you can't. That's not how, an IP like this works.
Yeah, Nerd Cookies has some good videos about Dune, especially that Dune series.
Nerd Cookies really knows her lore, yes.
Yes. Speaking of HBO series... Oh, wait, no. Here's a screenshot from the new Harry Potter. I'm kidding, I skipped ahead. Okay, let's go back to...
I wouldn't be surprised. That would make sense.
Okay, no, this is not that. So I lost my place in my notes. Sorry. Coco Melon.
Yeah.
Coco Melon, not Harry Potter, to move from Netflix to Disney Plus. Thank you, Marc Malnekoff. The animated series Coco Melon will be moving to a new streamer. Hollywood Reporter has learned that Disney Plus has picked up the popular preschool show starting in 2027 after Netflix declined to renew the Coco Melon license. Sources told at THR, the Hollywood Reporter, that Netflix chose not to renew its Cocomelon license due to a decline in viewership. The show has been with the streamer since 2020. Despite airing four new seasons in 2024, the preschool series viewership declined by nearly 60% from 2023 H1 to 2024 H2, according to the streamer's semi-annual reports. Netflix will continue to exclusively stream its spin-off Cocomelon Lane as well as Blippi. You a Blippi fan?
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what it is either. I'm going to tell you something, though. When you say that you're the home of Cocomelon, and now I have to have 2 streaming services to watch the full Cocomelon expanded universe, Cocomelon original, but Cocomelon Lane is on your channel, I'm kind of at a loss now. This is really frustrating.
If your kids want to see Cocomelon, you got to see Cocomelon. Parents have to make some decisions there.
You were bringing this up because you think this relates back to the Sesame Street. Netflix now has Sesame Street because they're trying to trade up to Sesame Street and dump this Cocomelon, which I guess people have been saying literally rots children's minds or attention spans. So
there's a lot of parents that think this is brain rotting, but
yes,
it's also, it was very popular for a while, and it's kind of, from what I understand, its popularity is waning, and it really sounds like, and who's buying it but Disney? Why are you buying it, Disney? What value do you think it has? It's like going to the farmer's market and buying all the stuff that's about to go bad for cheap.
This is to prop up their company in front of investors. Say, look, we now exclusive the Cocomelon, and the investors are like, oh, well, that's good. I heard of that, and they don't realize that this isn't popular anymore. That's probably what.
That's how you know that these investors are dumb. They don't know what they're investing in.
Well, they're still investing in Disney.
Yeah, they should know better. If you like losing your money, keep giving it to Disney.
Okay. So, speaking of HBO, not really, but we're moving on to it anyway. Boo! Boo! I'm going to start a hate campaign, especially against that redheaded kid. I'm sorry. Harass them on social media, send bad things. I'm kidding, of course. These are children. Leave them alone. Apparently, they're getting hate online already.
Huh.
Will you chill out? These are child actors, and don't do anything to them. Leave them alone. It's like,
Yeah.
But there's Hermione. We used to call Hermione when I read the books because I didn't know how to pronounce Hermione. That's what would happen in the old days, and we would read books and not know how to pronounce names. We would come up with the pronunciations ourselves.
Like that Greek character Persephone?
Persephone, yeah. And there's Ronald Woozleby. That's a joke from the books, actually. Ron's wand got messed up. Someone was trying to sign one of his textbooks or something. He wrote Ronald Woozleby, and then I think Harry Potter had it after he was doing something bad. And he says, "Let me see that book you had." And he hands him the book that Ron had, and he says, "Ronald Woozleby," and he says, "Yeah, that's my nickname." That's what Harry Potter says to Snape. He says, "I think you're a liar, Harry." She kind of looks like a young Alice Cooper. Well, she has the long hair. Yes, I think they look fine. I think they look like the characters are supposed to. I mean, Hermione's not descriptive, except the fact she has what is it?
I think she's just described as having frizzy hair.
Yes, so it's fine. I wish these actors well, and hopefully they don't develop psychological issues from having to work on the show.
The thing that makes this even close to being newsworthy is these things don't happen in a vacuum, right? So there is a perception, fairly or unfairly, that perhaps there's another race swap going on here, which I think nobody would have even said anything about had there not already been a much more egregious race swap for another character.
There's a wonderful YouTuber, I'm afraid I don't know her name of her channel, but she talks about children's stories, and she was making a mention that, she had an issue with the Snape casting, but not with Hermione. Hermione you can cast anyway, because lots of women of many ethnicities and cultural backgrounds would fit that description of Hermione, so you can pretty much cast her how you like. Yes. So, and sorry, Boomer, they may be kids, but they signed up for this, and they're going to be actors that got to learn how to deal with this stuff. Dude! I'm just saying, wait till they're 18. I'm kind of the feeling that
you're not wrong, but at the same time, I'd like to think we're better than that.
Parents also have to get involved and protect their children from any types of things online. Get off of social media. Get them off of social media.
Well, look, I'm going to say that for anyone of any age. If you are an actor, if you're a celebrity of some kind, you might not actually want to pay attention to what people are saying on social media. You don't need to hear it.
Just make a Harry Potter baby series like the Muppet Babies. Oh, the Muppet Babies.
That's one of those things. I was just old enough that Muppet Babies kind of annoyed me a little bit because it made me feel like I saw that. Yeah. Sorry, Netter, just...
wait. Say what you're going to say, because I was the right age for Muppet Babies.
I grew up with the Muppet Show.
You grew up with the Muppet Show, but not Muppet Babies, yes.
Well, no, wait a minute. And during that time of watching the Muppet Show, we also had the Muppet movie, right? And there was this implied story of... how they met, how the business came into existence, and all that kind of stuff. The Muppet Babies simply doesn't work with that story. This idea that they all grew up together.
No.
And I know canon. I'm reading way too much into this. I know. I'm just saying that I was just old enough for it to bother me,
I think I was old enough too where I realized, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I watched it because it's on TV. You watch what was on TV because you're a kid hopped up on cereal sugar in the morning. Anyway, I remember I used to watch Muppet Babies, and I remember the episode where Kermit entered the Temple of Doom, and they used actual footage from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom as it was out in the movies. The problem is, this is why they're making Harry Potter. Why can't they make a TV show about Hogwarts with new professors and new students? Do you know what I thought they could have done? They could have maybe set a story in the world of Hogwarts Legacy. That was the 1800s Hogwarts. That might have been interesting.
There's a lot of stories they could be telling. So the original reason that fans would have accepted, and they said this specifically, is if they were going back to retell the stories of the books completely, instead of, trying to squeeze it into 2 hours and cutting so much out.
Peeves.
Yeah.
Had better be on the show. He was one of my favorite characters in the books, and he's not.
There was a lot.
He's not a ghost. He's a poltergeist. There's a distinction.
There was a lot of
yes,
not only characters that were either cut out or minimized, or just story elements that were glossed over because of the nature of the 2 hour format. If you stretch that out to a whole season, you could do it all, and that's what people were hoping for. But if you're going to, start doing stunt casting, and I'm not even really talking about Hermione, I'm talking about Snape. Yeah. I have no interest. Real quick, I want to say hi to Jeff Morris. Thanks so much for being here, Jeff. I am old enough that I made fun of anyone who likes the Muppet Babies. Thank you, Jeff.
It wasn't a great cartoon. I'll admit that. It was not great.
I can't go that far, Jeff, because my brother liked Muppet Babies, and he was in the right age range, relatively speaking.
I think I was of the opinion it's
autistic, so.
True. That is true. Yes.
It wasn't bad enough to make me change the channel. That's how I saw Muppet Babies.
In my house, if my brother was watching it and paying attention to it, you just leave it alone, let it play, and ignore it.
But I think did Jim Henson voice Kermit on that? They probably got a different guy to voice him, didn't they?
I think it was something else, yeah. Because they all were also pitched up a little bit because they were younger. The Harry Potter series. Decided I was going to pass on that after the obnoxious wish. It's exactly what I was saying, Sin. So stupid. It's like they're just trolling us at this point. Well, and honestly, we were just saying that the Hermione casting is, she's a cute girl. I think
I don't know what race she is. Is she not white? Is she something else? I don't know that it matters because the books, like I said, don't really.
I don't remember them ever saying that Hermione was like, they did with Snape. With Snape, he
had a clear description. That's what the issue is. Yeah, and plus, it's also the issue how he's not a very likable character too.
And I don't know. There's also people that have strong feelings about the casting for the original, and it's like, if it's not them, it's got to be someone that looks like them and stuff. I have become so soured to the actress that originally played Hermione that making her clearly somebody different is a positive in my book.
Yes. With Harry Potter, I have the books, I have the movies. Can we do something new? Nothing bad toward the actors, but we should be doing so. We know why Warner's is doing it. They need money.
An alternate universe. This is going to be an alternate history, and they're going to create a Harry Potter multiverse. I'm being sarcastic, of course.
No, they tried that with Fantastic Beasts, and the prior Warner Brothers had messed that up when they got rid of Johnny Depp, but that was before, yes.
Right.
Anyway, so here we go.
But Ezra Miller always screws up these multiverse movies, so what are you going to do?
So let's move on to the final and most important story of the night.
And as I recall way back at the beginning, Big Al said this is a product he's very interested in.
Sydney Sweeney is selling her used bathwater in a limited edition Dr. Swatch soap collaboration, parentheses, yes, really, from E! Online. Sydney Sweeney just made fan fantasies a reality, literally. The Euphoria star teams up with Dr. Squatch to create a limited edition bar soap called Bathwater Bliss, made with actual droplets from her famous bubble bath ad. Yes, you read that right. Her bathwater is now part of a soap you can actually buy. The soap isn't just a gimmick. It's crafted with exfoliating sand, pine bark extract, and a splash of Sydney's signature suds, decides to channel two of the best places on earth, the great outdoors and Sydney Sweeney's bathtub. According to the brand, only 5,000 bars will be available starting Friday, June 6th at noon Eastern Standard Time. So it's a must-have for Rabbit fans and skincare lovers alike. Yeah, she was saying that she wants the soap made for all the dirty boys out there. And I'm thinking, oh, please, she says that in the commercial.
Okay, so
It's a lark. It's a lark. I'm not.
It absolutely is. It's a gimmick. I think what really hurts it or helps it, I don't know, is that immediately when you hear some girl is selling her bathwater in any form, they immediately think of that, what's Bella Delphine.
Yes, I think that was the person's name. Yes,
and she was literally selling vials of her actual bathwater. This, what do they say? Droplets of her bathwater. And when they say bathwater, what does that really mean? Water that she got into a tub and actually washed herself, or did she just go and fill up a bathtub and said, well, this is my bathtub and
all she has to do is dip her pinky in. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And when it's just a few drops of water, I mean, and how soap, well, maybe you don't know how soap is made, but if water is being used to make this soap, that water gets boiled. So there is nothing in that water.
You lie.
In your mind, in your fantasy, maybe you could argue that something in this once touched this girl. That this is just disgusting me. Even as I'm going down this sentence, I'm getting nausea.
It's all we've got, man. Come on, it's as close as we'll get. Most of
no, you got her movies. For crying out loud, she gets ass in some of these movies.
Okay. I'm sorry, but you are some knuckle dragon low Q basement dwelling dweeb to buy this. Here's what it is, though. I will say I don't think Dr. Squatch. Hopefully they're not charging anymore for this something. Remember they had a Star Wars line for a while. Did you notice that? They had Obi-Wan and Yoda soap, and they had Darth Maul and Darth Vader soap. I think you could go to the light side or go to the dark side with our soap brand. It's like,
and that's actually another reason why Big Al should be interested in it, because it's Dr. Squatch. I suspect he is a fan of that particular brand
Bigfoot,
to begin with.
It's all the Bigfoot references in this.
Exactly right. This is a goof. This is why it's.
I think it's just a goof. I don't think it's her actually selling her bathwater on eBay for like $100 a jar or $500.
No, it's
just them. They're making a joke.
Not that.
It's a joke.
It absolutely is. In fact, I have more respect for this marketing than that stupid goop candle thing. That,
don't.
Pepper Potts was doing. Yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow. Yes. I don't even want to bring that up on the stream. As I said, it's a family stream.
Well, exactly.
Anyway, looking forward to Sydney Sweeney's Outrun movie, which, I mean, it's a game where you drive around like America.
Dude, I am curious because this actually could be something good. I think they've got a place to go with this. She really should be in the movie. I think she's nuts if she's not.
I don't know.
The more control she has in it, the better it is for her investment.
Yes.
And look, I don't fault this girl. She's got a great business sense. For one thing, we have mentioned her on this show a number of times, saying that when it comes to things like politics or anything controversial, she keeps her mouth shut.
Yes.
Why? Because she likes making money. And she likes being popular. And she likes being a movie star. She's doing all the right things. Good for her. And now we're talking about her producing films. We're producing a film that the most we can say about it is it's based on a video game that has no story. All that means is they could do just about anything with it. Look at what they did with Minecraft, for F's sake.
But I don't even think you're racing. Like, if it was at least a racing game, it could be a racing-themed movie. Like, she's like, this is the which maybe is what they'll do. It's Michael Bay, right? He's involved. So
they do have to be careful.
Nice cars. Yeah, know.
They do have to be careful that they don't end up making it into a Fast and the Furious.
No, they can, because Fast and the Furious is not really about car racing anymore. It's about espionage and going into space and whatnot. And I'm just,
oh my god,
and Jason Momoa wanting to destroy Rome or something while he's trying to get at Vin Diesel. It's so ridiculous. Hey, Dr. Squash makes very good soap. That's the only soap I use. And their deodorant. Okay. Well, like I said.
So again, I am not saying anything against Dr. Squatch. In fact, I'm saying this is kind of a genius marketing, or at least let me rephrase that. It is decent marketing if it results in big sales.
Yes.
I don't like it. I would not buy this particular product from them, but if it does well for them, good on them, and good on her if it makes her a lot of money.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Taking on Gran Turismo formula, not a bad template. Here's the thing. The Gran Turismo movie was actually very interesting because that really was based on a true story. They actually did hold a tournament for Gran Turismo players, which is a very realistic racing sim on PlayStation consoles, right? And this one kid this one teenager, or like maybe he's like 18 or whatever, he finally becomes the finalist and gets to actually train to be a real race car driver in I guess Le Mans, right? I think that's what it was, and it's about him actually having to become a real race car driver, and about how he learned how to be a race car driver at first by just doing this very realistic racing sim, and then having to be a race car driver for real. It's got Orlando Bloom in it. I think, what was it? David Hayter, the guy from Stranger Things, he's in it as well. It's a good movie. It's a true story too. It's
yeah.
She does have nice collarbones. Yes, she does.
I suppose she does.
They need to do that Barbarella remake. Apparently, Edgar Wright. There's a rumor he's going to do a Barbarella remake, and that they're eyeing Sydney Sweeney to be a Barbarella. That would be funny, actually. All right.
If they really want to make it a huge success, they'll probably have to make it rated R.
Yeah.
And they do the actual costume in the style that what's her name
wore.
In other words,
full on,
clear plexiglass bra.
There you go.
If you do that, and you don't shy away from the the adultish, I don't want to say adult, like R-rated, the R-rated elements of it, then you will have a huge success on your hands. If you tone it down and look, and I'm thinking someone that's willing to market bathwater, and has previously done nudity in films, should not have a problem with the plexiglass bra. Just saying.
So it actually has a production company that purchased the film rights to Barbarella. Oh, that's interesting.
That's smart.
Interesting.
If she wants to make lots and lots of money,
hire Edgar Wright. I think he'd be a good director for it.
Yes.
Right.
This girl is sharp. She knows what she's doing.
That's it for Geeky Geezers. I feel sad, but it's late. Anyway, what do you have going on? Anything going on tonight with reserved seats?
No, there is no reserved seats tonight. Right. Otherwise, I would be forwarding you.
All right.
Welcome, Space Fraggle. Good to see you, Troy. The full Monty. Yeah. There you go.
No, not the full Monty. That was dudes. Anyway.
No, but see, now in the modern age, they can race swap, or they can
gender
race swap it.
They did. The movie was called Calendar Girls. Do you remember that one? It was Judi Dench in it and Helen Mirren.
I do. That was a good movie.
Anyway,
it was salacious in a very tasteful way. I like that movie.
So tomorrow night on your channel, I believe. Oh well, first you're doing Liquid Lunch, right?
Well, yes. First Liquid Lunch, and I had a topic set aside for it. Now I'm drawing a blank on it. I think I was going to be talking about toys, and I don't remember what the topic is. I'll figure it out before lunch tomorrow. So, but Liquid Lunch every weekday at noon Central. Oh, thank you so much,
thank you, Lady Miss.
Yes.
We clicked on at the same time. Sorry.
I just did it again.
I'm not going to touch it. Just do it. Okay. Yes.
There we go. And what I do like is that it does bring up the emojis so that you can see the blue hearts to encourage Netter. So every weekday at noon Central is Liquid Lunch for 1 hour. I've been getting a lot of great feedback about the show, so I'm going to keep it going. Monday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. For members of this channel, and if you're not a member, why aren't you a member? It's only $2 a month. Every week I put up a poll or ask for your input on what movie we're going to be watching. And this week, you decided that we are going to watch the original Lilo and Stitch from, was that 2002? That the original Lilo and
Yes.
Stitch came out? Okay.
The one which actually has romance and it's all about family and the good stuff, instead of the modern remake, which I heard it
and
was
not afraid to have an alien do a cross-dressing shtick. So yeah, that will
I
be.
heard the remake's a travesty as far as, but I think it still did well at the box office because
it did incredibly well at the box office, and unfortunately, that means Disney's probably going to learn the wrong lesson.
They're going to run the wrong lessons.
But I'll probably talk about
everyone lock their doors. I'm sorry to hear about your apartment, dude. Yikes. Okay.
Oh man, that's terrible. I'm sorry, man.
All right.
But actually, you know what? Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow for Liquid Lunch because I got some things to say about that. But then Monday night, so yeah, that'll be a good lead into the Monday night members only stream.
Yes.
Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
It followed immediately after on the channel Stark of Iron. I'm going to be a guest over on his channel his late stream that I believe is, let's see, 8. So it'd be 10 Central, I believe it is, 11 Eastern, over on Stark of Iron's channel. He's a great YouTuber. I think we're cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. And I've been promoting out his streams for a long time. He's been promoting out my streams. So I'm going to be on his channel on Monday, which brings us to Tuesday, when you and me and Netter and Deleted Scenes over on his channel for Live from Sparkwood in 21. We will be watching the first half of the Dune. What's
Spice Runners or Spice?
The Spice Divers cut.
Spice Divers. Okay.
So we're going to split it up into 2 weeks. We're going to watch half of it on Tuesday, and then the other half the following Tuesday.
Okay.
Again, we do feel that the Spice Diver cut is a better interpretation of what Lynch originally wanted to do. What actually the theatrical release of Dune was, David Lynch wanted to disavow completely. And again, because Live from Sparkwood in 21 is a show focused on David Lynch and his work, we want to, that's the way we want to go with that. So that'll be Tuesday at, I believe, 7:30, right after Deleted Scenes, super secret movie show that he does. As soon as that's over, come over to us. We'll watch the Spice Diver, and then immediately after that, the next episode of Blake 7 on my channel, and that is Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Nothing that I'm aware of on Wednesday. I haven't gotten any calls from Lord Doomcock. So no, I joke because I was just there as a fill-in that one day.
Gotcha.
And unless they need another guy to fill in someday in the future, but that's something to look forward to, perhaps. Thursday on.
I'm waiting to hear back from a couple people. So right now I don't have anybody solid. So I guess we'll find out.
Okay. So we're looking at, there will be a Thursday thing stream on Netter's Network at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Thursday.
I might just be talking to myself.
But we'll see who she's going to be talking to. That's Thursday. And then Friday for last call, of course, all these people here on the that are currently in the panel will be joining me, along with James Reckert, an actor and all-around jack of all trades in Hollywood. You might know him as the man hands of the famous Seinfeld episode, right? Yes. Everyone seems to remember, those hands at the restaurant breaking up the lobster.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we'll be, it was his hands that were, he was the stand-in for that girl in that scene. And we'll be talking to him about that and his work with Jerry Seinfeld, as well as his long history in Hollywood, working behind the camera in a lot of areas. He's got a long list of IMDb, most of which is behind the scenes. I think a lot of you will really enjoy hearing about what goes into making shows and what goes into making movies, and how it's affecting how the modern Hollywood situation that we talk about a lot on this channel is affecting real people in that industry.
Yeah.
So we will be talking with him on Friday. And so I will pace myself a little bit more with my drinks. That brings us to Saturday on Netter's Network, where on Retro Cinema at 9 Central, 10 Eastern, we will be watching Frequency, right. It looks like she's pouring a drink. She was turning a dial. Okay. Frequency with Dennis Quaid. That is...
who we just saw in the movie on Big Ass Channel.
Cool.
That's right. And wasn't it Dennis Quaid? And wasn't it Jim Caviezel?
Yes, I believe so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's father and son, but they're communicating to each other through the radio.
Through time, yeah.
So, yeah, so they're both around the same age of their respective thing, yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie.
You'll like it because it's another time travel theme, actually.
It's kind of time travel, yeah. But
it is kind of time, not directly, but indirectly.
It's not literal travel, but it is communication through time. So
yes,
sending information through time.
To catch a killer that was never caught, basically, yes.
Exactly. Great stuff. And that's Saturday, and that brings us around to next Sunday with the next Geeky Geezer. We actually already have an article for next week, just because we couldn't get it in.
Heck? I sent it to you today. Oh yes, yeah. The Electronic Arts executive has some thoughts on game players that like RPGs when they were developing Dragon Age. Oh my goodness, Troy's gonna have a field day with that one when we talk.
I'm gonna have some things to say next week. I can already tell you that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so it'll be good Geeky Geezers next week. And by this time next week, I will no longer own a currently relevant game console, unless you count the Evercade, because Switch will give way to Switch 2 by next Sunday, and I will. That's my newest console, so that's it. I'm officially
are you still going to be able to make
a boomer when it comes to game consoles this time next week? What am I still?
Are you still able to play the games on your old Switch?
I'm not getting a Switch 2. Oh, you mean you mean the Switch 2 games on the Switch?
No.
What?
Can you still play the games you have on the Switch on your Switch when the Switch 2 comes out?
Yes.
Okay.
Until Nintendo releases an update that says, hey, you want to play your games that you bought for this console, you got to buy a Switch 2 or defuncting your console. It'd be funny if they did that, right?
No, it would not. Well, it'd be funny to me.
It would be funny for me. It wouldn't be funny for me. No, I can still play my games on my Switch 2. There's still a couple games. Nintendo still has a Metroid game in the pike for the Switch 1. They are honoring that agreement. They're going to bring it on the Switch 2 also, but they're going to bring it on the Switch 1. So there's still that. And that'll be. I'm officially going to be just running on old hardware now. That's me, old hardware. So there you go. Okay.
All right, everybody. That's Geeky Geezers. I got my rants out for the week, and I am going to. Evie Muggs is going to be getting an earful. Let me tell you, I've already bashed them on X and tagged them, and.
Well, maybe might be a topic for a future stream. Okay.
It probably will be. All right.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Outro. There we go.